Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to this channel. Today we will be learning Microsoft Office Excel for absolute beginners. This tutorial is for beginners. If you haven't touched Excel before, if you are finding it difficult working with Excel, then this tutorial is absolutely for you. I'm going to touch every single aspect of Excel. I'm not going to leave anything behind. We are going to do all the basic stuffs. We are going to get into the intermediary stuffs. Then we jump into the real fun. All right, so welcome to the channel once again. If you haven't subscribed, do so and then click the like button. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is go through our table of contents. I'll first introduce you to Excel, then we will explore the Excel window. The first window you see when you open Excel. Then you start working with cells and data. The next thing we will learn after that is tabs, which is very important. We will learn all the functionalities and tools under each of the tabs. Then we will start working with text decoration and formatting. Then we get into rows and columns. Then we will pick up a little exercise that I call splitting names. So you just be splitting text into subtexts. Let's say you have a name, a full name, and you want to split it into surname and first name. You know, it's just a little basic task that should just kick us running with the basic functionalities in Excel. Then we are going to see what goes on in the file button and saving of your work. Again, if you are new to Excel, don't get overwhelmed with these stuffs. I'm going to go through with you one after the other. Then I'm going to introduce you to worksheets and workbooks. I will also take you through the key Excel features. There are a lot of features in Excel that you can't do without. We are going to go through all that. You use it each and every data that you prepare with Excel. Then I'm going to take you through how to insert symbols and characters. Then introduction to formulas, which is the most fun aspect of Excel. This is where the whole world becomes yours with just Excel. You can do anything that you want. So we will jump into that and then we will have some fun with that as well. Then we will learn relative and absolute cell references. Cell referencing is very important in Excel. It helps with formulas and handling data and stuff. We will do all that, and then we will dive into a little data validation, which it's also very nice. You will get there soon. We also work with other sheets and other workbooks as well, and then we will build a little project called student grading system. This project will just combine all the basic functionalities that we learned and then put them all together for you. So after learning this and building this student grading system, trust me, you are going to enjoy using Excel. You have ton of knowledge. You know a lot about Excel, and you are going to be able to do great things with it. I also introduce you to tables and charts as well. Then we will end the first part of this video. We'll be getting into the second part later after this video. That part will consist of mostly projects. All the things we learned in part one, I'll just put projects together and then we just pick it. We do it. We pick the next one. We do it. And then I'm sure by the end of finishing all the projects, you will be very comfortable with Excel. You'll be okay to use Excel. You use it for anything. You can use it for basically any kind of data that you want to. So the first project we'll build in the part two will be a student grading system. We also build an income and expense system. We also build a payroll system. We will build a system for taking stock as well. I plan on adding a few more of them. So we will see when we get to part two. I might make it up to maybe 10 projects, and then we'll make it all into one video so that you can get as much hands-on experience as possible. So without wasting time, let's jump right into Excel. Okay, so to open Excel, if you have Excel already installed on your computer, all you have to do is to go to the Start menu and then search for Excel. If you search for Excel and then you just hit Enter and then it opens for you. You can have different versions of a different version of Excel, which is not like mine, but basically you'll be able to do all the things that I can do with mine. So when you open Excel, this is the first screen that you get. Then this screen, I'm using Office 2019, which I don't know, might look a bit different from yours, maybe or maybe not. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, if you have this, you make sure you get blank workbook. If you have blank workbook, then you have no problem. Then you can see we have these templates here. A template is simply a pre-made Excel sheet. An Excel template is simply a pre-made Excel sheet. And you can see here that you can search online for a lot of templates. But I won't advise you to go for templates at the moment because it will not help you. You need to learn how to use it before you get into templates. All right, so let's get into a blank workbook and then start Excel. So the first thing is for you to, the first thing you see when you open a blank workbook is this screen. Again, something might be different because of your version of Excel, but do not worry, they are all the same. I'm going to take you through one after the other, and whatever version of Excel you are using, you should be able to follow along the tutorial. On the top left side, you can see this button. This button is called the Save button, and it's basically used to save your work. We will not get there now because we have nothing to save. So we will just continue, and then later we come back there. You can see these two, and then this arrow pointing to the right, this arrow pointing to the left. They are just basically for do and then undo. Undo and then redo, sorry. Undo and then redo, and then you can see that it's grayed out because we haven't done anything that we want to undo or redo. On top here, you can see this text here. That is the name of your workbook. Okay, the name you save your workbook with. And what Excel does is immediately you open a new template that you haven't saved, it automatically gives it a name called book 1. So when you try saving it, there's the name that you will get, unless you change it to your own name or a name that you prefer. And over here, you can see these buttons. You are all familiar with them. This is for minimizing, maximizing, and this is for closing. If you have used Windows for a decent amount of time, you should be able to know these stuffs. The next thing we get are tabs. Okay, the file button here, you can click it and check it out. You come there, and if you have clicked it, you have this back button here. You should be able to click the back button and then come back here. So you check it out, but not now. All right, so when we come to tabs, Excel basically groups all their elements or functionalities or tools or whatever you call them. They group them into tabs so that you can easily find them. Anything that you want to do, you look for that tab, the specific tab, you find it, the specific tab related to it, and then you find it there. So if, let's say, and you have to be creative here, let's say you want to insert something into your data, you should know that it's at the insert tab. If you want to work with formulas, you should know it's at the formulas tab. If you want to work with, let's say, tables, pages, page numbers, you know, all those are inserted. You insert tables, you insert page numbers, they are all at the inserts. Again, don't get overwhelmed. We'll get into all those later. All you have to know right now is Excel groups all the tools, all the functionalities, everything that you are working on your data with. Excel groups them, and Excel groups them under tabs. Okay, so the first or the default tab is the home tab, and it has almost all the basic functionalities you need for your data. The home tab is basically a place where you get all the basic functionalities you need for your data. Some functionalities are so basic that you don't need to switch between tabs in order to get them. So all of them are at the home tab. The insert tab, basically, just like I said, gives you the ability to insert stuffs into your workbook. You can insert a whole lot of stuffs into your workbook. You can insert tables, you can insert pictures. Let's say you have a logo that you want to use in your data. You come to the insert tab, then you can insert pictures. It also has an option for online pictures, but we are not going to go there. You can also insert shapes. You have a bunch of shapes. If you need, for some reason, you need a certain shape anywhere, you just come there and then you just grab it. All right, you also have icons. You can even insert 3D models. All right, you also have charts here. But charts are basically used to represent data. So whatever data that we have, if you want to represent it or output it in a friendly manner, in a way that people can understand, we can use charts. Then we have lines. So all these are forms of chart that we can also use. We have filters and stuffs, and most importantly, we have text boxes and header and footer. Also, very important part of Excel. We also have word art, which simply gives you some stylish graphical stuff that you can use in your work. You also have a place you can even add a signature line. You can also add an equation and a symbol, which is also very important. So you can see that there is a way to add complicated equations in Excel. Again, don't get overwhelmed. I'm just introducing you to the tabs. We will get to these tabs later. So the next thing is the page layout. The page layout is simply the way your page is viewed, the way your page is oriented, the way your page is viewed, how you have structured your page. Everything is under page layout. You find a whole bunch of stuff related to the structure of your page. So when you come here, you can fix the margins, you can make them wide and narrow. You have size. If you have used Microsoft Office Word before, you'll be familiar with all these things. Orientation is just to show you whether your work should be portrait or landscape. So landscape, it's something like this, and then portrait is something like this. Okay, so when you print, do you want it to be portrait or landscape? Well, it all depends on you. So you have a whole lot of settings here to apply, especially when you want to print out your documents or your data. You have print area here, just like I said. You can, basically set all those tabs here so that when you are printing it, you can have a very good looking document. Okay, so you basically have a whole bunch of stuffs. You can bring stuffs forward and send them backwards. Again, you don't need to know them now. You get into them later on. So you also have a tab for formulas. Excel has a whole tab for formulas. This tab, we'll get into Excel formulas later. It's a very powerful feature of Excel, if not the most powerful feature of Excel. So we'll jump into that later on. You know how to use formulas. Most people even learn formulas and they forget them. You don't need to memorize them. They are all here. If you come to formulas tab, you have the sum tab. You can get all the formulas for summation, checking average, counting numbers, maximum, minimum, and stuffs. Then you have your recently used formulas here. So if you use a couple of formulas, they will all be shown here. So you also have formulas for calculating for finances, accounting and stuff. So you are not gonna get there because it's beyond the coverage of this tutorial. We might get there in another part of this tutorial. So we also have logical formulas. If you don't know the meaning of logical formulas or logical equations, we will get there and then we will learn it. You'll have one for date and time, text, references, mathematics, and then you can have more functions here for statistics, for averages, and all the formulas are here. You don't need to memorize them. You don't need to. You just need to know the concept of using them. That is all. You don't need to memorize them. They are all here. Okay. We also have the name manager. You'll be using it some parts of this tutorial, but not now. All right, so we get to the data. We go to the data tab, and then the data tab is simply for managing our data. It gives us some tools that can allow us to import data, to export data, to filter and sort data. And there's the same place, the same tab that we'll be using to split our names, because our names are data, and if we want to alter those data, we have to come to the data tab. It's as simple as that. Okay, so we go to the review section. The review section also gives you some stuff. You can basically protect your work. You can decide you can decide to show who views your data, who can edit your data, and who can make certain changes in your data. Then the next tab that we'll go to is the View tab. The View tab basically gives you all the tools to view your data before you print them out. Not only to print them out, but also how your data looks. You can also do all that at the View tab. Okay, so the next tab we will be learning is the help tab, and it's simply a place where you can find help if you need one. So you have Microsoft has a whole community for Excel, and then you can visit that community, and then you can basically ask questions, and then experienced people and people who have used experts on Excel can answer your questions. You also have a blog for browsing through various topics and stuffs. You can even suggest a feature, and Microsoft might maybe consider. Then you can also have some training here. You can ask for any kind of help that you need. And also with this, depending on the version of Microsoft Office that you are using, you might have this here. And you can simply type anything that you need there. And then you get, it finds it for you. All right, so let's come back to the home tab. So make sure this white background, it's at the home tab. Make sure you are not in at any of the other tabs but the home tab. And one thing worth noting is most of you or some of you might have your panel, collapsed or something like that. It might be like this, so you might not be able to work with. How you can restore that is to just double click the home button, and then it will be restored. You need to just double click any of the buttons, just double click it, or you can just click it once and then you come and click on this pin here. Okay, you can just click on it. So if the ribbon here, it's hidden and you can't access it, or whenever you try to access, after accessing it, it hides itself automatically, and you want it to be fixed as mine was, then you can just click it, double click here. That is one method. Or you can just click it and then click this pin. That is also another method. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, now we are done. We know what's at the top here. We know the things that goes on here. We know everything at the top here. The next thing we are going to find when we open a new workbook is this box right here. This box is called the name box. And the name box, simply what it does, it shows you the name of the cell that you are in. Again, if you don't know the meaning of cell, don't worry, we'll get there. But just know that it's a name box and it shows you the name of your cell. We'll get there and then you understand. Then on your right, we have a formula bar. Formula bar will not be used now. We will use it when we get to formulas and functions. We are not using formula bar now. All right. So the next thing we get again when we come down is this column here and this row here. Okay. We have a column here and we have a row here. So why do we have columns and then why do we have rows in Excel? All right. To answer this first, let's check in between these columns and rows. We can see some small boxes in there. Not, you can call them rectangles. You can see some small rectangles in there. And then these rectangles, they are plenty. And what divides them are certain grayish lines. You can see some gray lines dividing the columns. So basically what is happening here is each column has a line in between them. Each column has a line in between them. And then each row has a line in between them. So after those lines and columns are formed, that is where we get, that is how we get these box rectangles. Because if we have a line, a vertical and a horizontal line, and then we have plenty of them crossing each other, what we get are boxes. And here we have rectangular boxes. So these rectangular boxes are called cells. They are called cells. You need to remember that is very important. That is the actual name for it. The reason you need to remember is if you have any kind of error whilst working with Excel and then you need help online, you need to be able to mention that it is a cell you are working with. If you say anything else, if you say rectangular boxes, Google might not find what you are looking for. So you need to be specific that it's a cell that you are working with. Okay, so we have plenty of these cells, and then we will get into them. But for now, you need to know that they are called cells, and when you open Excel and a blank workbook, you are going to find them there. All right, at the bottom here, you can see we have some arrows here, but they are grayed out. They are used to navigate. We use it to navigate between sheets. Again, I will explain to you the difference between sheets. Then we have this plus here. It is used to add a new sheet. I will explain the meaning of sheets. And then we have these scroll bars here. You know what scroll bars are for. You can just use them to scroll between. If you have enough data stretching into this parts, then you can use this. Okay, and then we also have this scroll here. All right. Okay, so the next thing we have after the scrolls. Let me just adjust this. Okay. The next thing that we have after the scrolls is at the bottom here. You can find this here, and then one important thing is you have a zoom button here. You can zoom out and then you can zoom in. I will be using this feature because sometimes my screen might be smaller on your device, so I'll have to zoom in so that you can see the data very well. All right. So back to the screen. Now we are going to understand what goes on in here. What goes on in between these columns and rows. So let's see, this is what happens. Okay, so we have the columns here and then we have the rows here. Okay, so let's draw our columns. Okay. Okay, so let's assume that all these are straight lines. Okay, these are my awesome drawing skills. I have very good drawing skills. So let's assume these are straight lines. Then we have these straight lines as well. Okay, these are more straight lines. Okay, so let's assume all these are straight lines. So when we pick each column, which is this, Excel has a straight line to divide each of the columns. Okay, so when you check the columns here, you can see that Excel has named all the columns. When you check here, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, up to Z. And then after Z, what Excel does is, if we end here, it means we can only enter data up to here. Your data might be more than that. Excel is used to process sometimes large chunks of data, and up to Z will not be enough. Okay, from A to Z, I think we won't have enough cells to work on the data that you might be working on. So for that reason, Excel restarts the counting. Okay, so what he does is he continues rather, and then he goes with A and then A, then A and B, A and C, A and D. So it goes up to A and Z, then B and A. So if we can go there up to that point, you will realize that we have B and A here. So A up to A Z, then we start again from B A B B B C up to B Z. Then we go to C A. So it's a whole lot of. You can imagine the number of rows that we are not seeing. It's a lot, a whole lot, and it will be enough to contain whatever data you are working with. Then when you come to the rows, sorry, these are columns. When you come to the rows, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the number goes. It goes as. So we can just keep scrolling, and then you can see that you have a whole lot of rows to work with. So if you are working on the data, if you are working on a hospital data, a student data, and there are more than 1,000, you can scroll to as many as you want. So this, as far as rows and columns go. So let's go back to my awesome drawing skills. So Excel has divided the columns and then named them. So this column, let me erase this. Let me erase this. Okay, so the column, this is how the columns are named. This column is column A, this column is B, this column is C, this is D, this is E. Okay, then here are the rows, so this is columns, and here are the rows 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can add 5 here. So it goes down like that. So in between every column and every row, there is a rectangle. Between every column and every row, there is a rectangle. Wherever there is an intersection between a column and a row, there is a rectangle. And then I told you those rectangles are called cells. So wherever there is an intersection between a row, a column and a row, there is a cell. So this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell as well. All these, so there are thousands of cells, a whole lot of cells, so that you can work with. Okay, so all these are cells. But let's assume if we are working with these cells, what does these cells do? Let's go back to our Excel worksheet. What these cells do is they accept data. Each of the cells accept data. So why do we use cells to accept data instead of just using a blank screen like in Microsoft Word and just type whatever we want inside? It's all the same thing, right? But no, it's not. In Excel, what we do is we want to be able to identify each and every single data that we are entering so that we can use it. Again, in Excel, we want to be able to identify each and every single data that we are working with. Whatever you enter in Excel, you should be able to identify it. If you can't identify it, then you can't work with it. So if you are entering records for student lists, then this cell here can contain a certain data, this cell here can contain a certain data, they can all contain a certain data. And then after entering all those data, if you need to identify a certain data, you'll be able to know that it's in this third cell, fourth cell, fifth cell. Okay, so now we want to be able to identify our data, but we have chunks of cells, a whole lot of cells, thousands and more than even thousands of cells, plenty cells. So how do we identify this data? That is why Excel names these cells. So Excel has a name for each of these cells. There is a name for each of these cells. You will not believe it. Every single cell, all these millions of cells have names. How do we know their names? Okay, so just like I told you, the top here is columns, and here on our left side we have our rows. So what Excel does is it picks up a column. When naming a cell, it picks up a column name. When we talk of a column name, these are column names. A here is a column name, B here is a column name, C is a column name, D is a column name, and an E is a column name. When we pick row names, one is a row name, or let's say number, because they are numbers. Let's say row number. This is also a number, row number 3, row number 4, row number 5. So this is column A, column B, column C, column D, and this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. So these are how the rows are named, and these are how the columns are named. So for every single intersection, which is where there is a cell, what Excel did is it picks up the column name, then picks up the row number, then that is the name of the cell. Okay, so the name of the cell is the column name, and the row number. So if we have entered the data here, let's say student name here, student number here, and then age here, then maybe first name, last name, and then we want to be able to identify them. What we do is, how do we know where the student name is? We check the column first. This is column A, and then this is row 1. So the intersection of column A and row 1 gives us the cell for student name, which is this. Okay, which is this cell right here. So how do we name this cell? We pick the column name, which is A, and then we pick the row name, which is 1. So the name of the cell is cell A1. Again, when we want the student number, and then we want the cell for student number, we check the column, which is B. Then we check the row number, which is 1. So cell B1 will be the name of the cell. What if we want this cell right here? We have to check the column here, which is column C, and then row number 2, so it will be C2. Again, it is important you understand this concept here because it is the most basic aspect of Excel. If you are going to be working with data, you can't work with data if you don't know how cells are named. So let's go back to Excel. Okay, so you can see that it all looks good here. It looks better than what I did, and you can see the lines are straight. You can identify each cell clearly. So we have the rows here. We have the columns here. This is column A, column B, column C, D, E, F, and as long as that, there is row 1, 2, 3. So this is cell A1. This is cell B1, B2, B3, cell C3, cell D3, cell D4. I hope you are following it. Wherever I point the cell, wherever I put my mouse or I click, you can see the column name is grayed, and then the row name is also grayed. So you can use that to track where you are. So if you click here, you don't need to track it all the way here. You can know that it's cell K17, looking at the position of the mouse. Sorry, the position of the active cell. All right, so that's how cells are named. So it's very important you know these names. Whatever cell you click, you will know the name. So we can track it this way. So what if we are working with a lot of data and then we are here? Then it means we have to track it all the way here and then all the way here, which is cell Y84, which it's a very tedious work. So what can we do about that? What Excel does is just click wherever you want, come and check the name box, and then you find the name of the cell there. So where we click, we just clicked here. You can check is P15. When we check here, is P15. So wherever you click, it's as simple as that. You come here is V30. So each of the cells have a unique name, and then it's easily identifiable through the name box. So that is the concept behind cell naming. It's as simple as that. And also, I don't want to forget about this. You can see that wherever I click, you will see that there is this green shadow around the cell. Wherever you see that green shadow is called an active cell. Wherever you see that green shadow is called an active cell. What is an active cell? An active cell is a cell that we have selected. An active cell is a cell we are working with. So if we have all these cells, and then just like what I demonstrated using my awesome drawing skills, if we are working with student data and then we have student name here, we have let's say student number here, then we have what else, gender here as well. Okay, so let's say we have all this here. How do I know which cell I'm typing in? It's by the use of the active cell. If I click on a certain cell and I see those green shadows, it means it is active and I can type inside. I can type anything I want inside. That's how it works. And then take note that as I type, you will see the text appear at the formula bar. So you should also take note of that. We will use that later on. Okay, so we are done with the interface. Basically, as at now, you should be able to know what goes on, what is on the interface. Then one thing I should also talk about is that these lines here you see in Excel, none of them can be printed. You cannot print the lines. The lines are not printable. They are just there to guide you. They are only there to guide you. They are not printable. So if you want to print this and then you issue the print command, the lines are not going to come. Let me just demonstrate it and then try to print. Let me just try and then print it and then let's see what happens. Okay, you can see that we have student name, student number, gender, but it's all blank. There is nothing there. So this should tell you, and you can see the whole page is blank. This should tell you that these are all not printable. All right, so let's proceed. The next thing I am going to show you is the difference between a worksheet and a workbook. When we started Excel, I told you to go to start and then just search for the word Excel. When you opened Excel, what was the first thing that you saw? It said blank workbook. Blank workbook. So when we click on this, this is our workbook. A workbook in Excel can be related to a physical book, and a worksheet can be related to a physical sheet. So when we open our book, we have sheet 1, which means the first sheet in our book. So this is the first sheet in our book. Okay, so that's how it works. This is the first sheet in our books. And then when you come here, you can see the name of the sheet, which is sheet 1. So this means if this is the first sheet, then where are the additional sheets? Because a book can have like 50 sheets, 100 sheets. Why do we have only one sheet here? Well, if we are tired of working with this sheet, if our data, we don't want to put all our data into one page of the book, and we want to put some data, arrange the data nicely so that others will go somewhere, you can simply click on this plus here so that you get a new sheet. Then this is sheet 2. You can click to get sheet 3. You can click to get as many sheets as you want. And if you desire not to have the sheet there, you just right click your mouse, then you go to delete. Then you delete. So you delete and then still have one sheet. So that's how it works. Okay, if you have if you have 2 or more sheets, it's just like the tab. You can see the active sheets are the background of the active sheets are white with the text as green. So you can just click on them and then you realize how it works. All right, so okay, let's proceed. Let's check with our table of content to know where we are going next. Okay, so the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll be working with cells and data. Okay, I just explained to you how cells works. So we are going to enter some data inside and try to play around with the data, and then we see what happens. All right, so let's say we want to enter data into our cells. How do we do it? In Office Word or in other word processing documents, in Notepad, in anywhere, mostly whenever you are typing something. Let's see here, you can see there is something blinking here. In Word, you usually see it. Okay, what happens is in Excel, you don't have to see it before you start typing. This blinking line, you don't have to see it before you start typing. You can just click any cell that you want. There is nothing blinking here, but you can still start typing. Okay, so that's how it works. Again, you can start typing, and immediately you start typing, you will find it there. So yeah, that's how it works. You don't need to see it before you start typing. You can start typing and then it will appear. All right, so that's how you get data into your cells. So let's try to put in some data into our cells and then see how we can work with it on our next section, which is going through the tabs. Okay, so we are going to insert some data here, which is, let's say, student name, index number, gender. Okay, this is fine. As I enter the data, I can move around, or I can go to the next cell with the arrows on my keyboard like this. This is the down. I'm clicking on the down button right now. I'm clicking on the up button right now. This is the right button. This is the left. So I can use the right, top, down, or left arrow to navigate through my cells. And that is exactly what I'm doing right now. And then whenever you are entering data, when you have a lot of data to work with, what happens is Excel, as you type your data, Excel reads the pattern at which you are typing your data so that it can predict the next step for you. Let me demonstrate that. Let's say I have student name here, so I'm entering the first student name, which is Jones. All right, then the index number is 100. Then again, I'm using the right button. I will show you a different button that you can use. So let's start again. Jones 100. Then the gender is male. Immediately I type up to this point. What do? I have to click on the down arrow, come left again before I start typing. Okay, and Excel doesn't want you to do all that work for yourself. So what you can do is you can just, after typing up to the third element, which is where you are, just press the enter key. Sorry, I have to type them manually, I guess. 100. Okay, then male. Okay, so I hit the enter key and then it takes me to the next row that I should type the next student's name, because Excel has read my pattern and it understands that after typing in here, and typing in here, I will have to start typing from the next row. That is very, very brilliant of Excel. It makes your work very, very easy. If you have a lot of data to work with, you don't need to, be using the arrows to switch between them. So when you get here, you can just click on enter. Then the next one might be Sarah. Then 200, or let's say 101. Then female. Then you can hit the enter button. So you can enter as many data as you want without necessarily messing with the arrows button. So that's how you enter data. And also when navigating through the cells, if you want to go forward, I would suggest you use the tab button. You can also use that. So if you want to enter, we want to enter the next data here, we can enter the name as Schofield. Oh, sorry. Okay, I don't know if this is the actual spelling, but you can enter the name Schofield and then we can use the tab to navigate to the next cell. So I'm clicking on the tab right now. It's at the next cell. I can say 102. I can go here and say male, then click enter, and then I come to the next row. So that works too. Also, as I type my data, you can see that it's hiding behind the index number. That is because the rectangle is too small to fit the data. The rectangle is too small to fit the data, so it's hiding behind, and it can't take the space of index number because it also needs space, and it's also hiding behind because there is gender there. So how do we fix this? What we can do is you can hover your mouse in between the A and the B where the rest of the data is hiding. Then you will get this dark plus button. You can simply double click it, then it will open for you. So it will check the size of this and then it will fix it for you. Again, if this is not comfortable for you, you can simply do it manually. You come and then you left click and hold. Then you can drag it as wide or as narrow as you want. So if you need it wider than this, you can still do it. So that's how So that's how you resize your cell to fit your data. So I basically like to double click so that it will fit my content perfectly. You can also do same for here. You can just double click. Again, it's a left double click so that it can fit. All right, so gender, you double click and you can see it's now narrower so that the gender can fit. Okay, so that's it for that. The next thing we'll be doing is we'll be going through our tabs. So what are tabs in Excel? Tabs are simply how Excel has grouped its tools and functionalities and whatever. I usually call them tools, but anything that you use in Excel needs to be grouped so that you can easily find your way around. When I started the lecture, I mentioned that at the Home tab, you can find all the basic elements. These are the basic things that you will need in working with most data, and Excel has grouped them all under the Home button, Home tab. So you can find others at the insert. We've gone through that already. We will be going through the individual elements one after the other right now. Okay, so the first grouping that we will find is the clipboard. You can see that there are certain vertical lines, vertical grayish lines in between the groupings. You can see them. So they are there, they are very thin, but you will see them. Okay. And then what happens is after every single one of these vertical lines, there is a grouping. So this right here, all these here are one group. And what is the name of the group? Is written down here, clipboard. After this, there is also another grouping. What is the name of this group? It's called fonts. There's also another grouping called alignment, number, styles, cells, and then editing. So what these groupings basically do is they group, just like tabs, they group all the tools that you need for a certain action or a certain related action together so that you can perform them easily. So if there are certain related actions, Excel will just group them together so that Excel knows after performing this, you might be performing this. So why not put them all at the same time so that you don't have to look for all of them at certain places. So that is the meaning of this grouping. So take note of the group names here. There is clipboard, fonts, alignment, number, styles, cells, and then editing. Again, in Excel, you don't have to memorize everything. You just need to know the concept around it, and then you can just use it and then work your way around it anyhow that you want. So if we talk about clipboard, what is a clipboard? A clipboard is simply, it represents something like a physical board where you can just cut or copy stuff, put it there on that board, and then later you use it. Okay, when I say later, that is when you are pasting it. If you have used Windows for some time, a decent amount of time, you realize that you can copy stuff and then paste them. You can copy documents and paste them. When you copy a document, it saves that document on this clipboard. Okay, and then when you paste them, it will remove or it will copy it and then put it there for you. That's how it works. So let's get back to my awesome drawing skills and then let's see if I can demonstrate that to you. So what happens is, if this is your clipboard, again, this is forgive me for my drawing skills. Okay, so this is clipboard, and then let's say you have files here. So these are 5 files. This is this file is called maybe students data. We have another file here, maybe this is a letter, and then you copy this file. If you copy it, it is saved on this clipboard. So you have student data here. So let's say this is our desktop. And then what we want to do is, after copying, obviously you want to paste it somewhere else. Okay? Or after cutting it, maybe you want to paste it somewhere else. So when you come to that location, which is documents, this is desktop, this is documents, all what Windows will do is it will just copy it from here and then paste it here for you. That is what Clipboard is. So when you copy something from here, it can be on the clipboard, then you can work for as long as you want to do whatever you want, and then later you can paste it. This is just a simple representation. Logically, this is not how it works, but this is just something to visually show you how clipboards work. Okay, so back to our clipboard. We would like to copy something and then paste it somewhere, just like we copy documents and paste them in Microsoft Office Word. So if we would like to copy this row here, okay, and then paste it somewhere else, the first thing we need to learn is cell highlighting. We can highlight cells just like we can highlight documents or files in Windows. So when you want to highlight something, you just select the cell where you want to start the highlighting from. Then you can press and hold the left mouse key, and then you use the arrows, or you use your mouse pad or your mouse to just move around. You can just play around with it. Yeah, this is just how it works. You can play around with it as much as you can, but that's how you highlight stuff. So if we want to highlight this row, we first select Jones, and then we highlight to this part. And then we have this copy here, which we can use to copy. And I told you, you don't have to memorize everything in Excel. You just need to know how to use it. If you don't know how to use a tool, all you need to do is highlight over it or hover over it. You hover over it, and then Excel will show you anything you need to know about that tool. So let's hover over copy and let's see what it says. It says copy Ctrl+C. So that is the shortcut for copy. Excel is so brilliant. It gives you the shortcut, it gives you the description. So it means you can press Control and then Control on your keyboard, which is at the left and at the right. You have one at the left, one at the right. We usually use the one at the left, so you can use it if you are as comfortable as everyone is. Yeah, you can use it. So you press and hold the Control, and then you press C. You don't press plus, you press Control and then you press C. Sorry, you press Control and then you press C, and then it will copy for you. So we don't want to do that now. We just want to click on this copy, and then we want to paste it somewhere. So we want to paste it after Scofield. So what do? We select the cell we want to start the paste from. Okay, and then we can come to this paste here. You can see paste is written here, and then there is this yellowish and then this white stuffs here. That is also for pasting. But what we will use now, we will not use the arrow, we will use this. I'll show you what the arrow is for in just a second. You click it and then it will paste your text. So that's how you paste text in Excel. So you can basically do it like that. Or what you can also do is you can highlight it and then press Ctrl+C, and then it will copy. You come here. Let's see the shortcut for paste. We can see it's Ctrl+V. So we press Ctrl+V and then it's pasted. So again, Ctrl+C for copy, Ctrl+V for paste. So take notes of this as well. After you have pasted whatever you copied, you can still see there is this shadow lines going around the text. Why is this still going around? I've pasted my text. My text is already pasted. So why is this still going around? What is happening is, after pasting it, Excel assumes you would like to paste it somewhere else. Okay, so you have to tell Excel that, no, I don't want to paste it anywhere else, for Excel to recognize it as that. If not, Excel assumes you want to paste it somewhere else. So let's say we want to paste Jones in cell G1. We just click on the first cell G1, and then we press Ctrl+V, or we just come and click this paste. And then it's still moving around it. So we can paste it everywhere that we want. As many as we want, we can paste it, provided this round dotted shaded lines are still going around. So we can basically paste it everywhere, anywhere. And then if we want to stop it, all we have to do is to just press escape, and then it is gone. So if you don't press escape, you might mess up your work, because wherever you go, you paste stuff that you don't want to, and then it will mess up your data. Okay, so that's it for that. All right, so let me delete this and then let's proceed. Okay, so when you check it right now, you can see this is grayed out. That is because there is nothing copied, so we can't paste. If you haven't copied anything, you can't paste. Let's copy this right now, and then we will see that it is again there for us to click. Okay, so one most important thing I'll point out is this arrow here. So let's copy this. You can see this arrow here at the bottom of this paste button. What it does is it gives you options for pasting, and these options are very, very important. Very important. Yeah, so you can basically paste it to make your life very, very easy. It can paste links, it can paste stuffs. Let's do a quick demonstration and then proceed. We have copied this. Let's say we would like to display this. This data is in a row form. What if you would like to display it in a column form? You want to display it like this: Jones, 100, age, and then gender, male. Okay, what if we change our data to this format? So this will be student name, index number, and then gender. What if this is the format for our data, which is it goes this way? Student name goes this way instead of this way. Index number goes this way in a row form instead of this way in a column form. And then we want to do for all our data. Then what do? We have to type each and every one, or we have to copy Sarah here, paste it here, copy this here, paste it here, and then copy female here, and then paste it here. There is a lot of work. You can see just 3 elements, and it's just stressful. So what you can do is you can just transpose it. You can simply copy it here, then you come here, and at the paste options you can click on transpose, and then it will paste it that way for you. So let me see if copying to will work. I'm not sure if it will, but let's try and see. So we transpose. Yes, it works. So you can copy all these data. You can copy all these data. You can copy all this data. You come here, and then you click here, and then you can click on transpose, and then it will paste everything for you. You don't need to do it one after the other. So that's how intelligent Excel is. So this paste functionality is very small, but it can be really helpful if you are working with a large chunks of data and you want to rearrange it. So let me delete all this because I don't need it. Again, when you are doing pasting, immediately you copy it. You can simply right click there, and then you get all those paste options there. Okay, Excel makes it so easy to use. Their tools, it's everywhere. So you can paste it normally like we do. You can paste the values which will come. You can paste it as formulas. Then you can transpose it like we did. So you can simply copy this. You can simply copy this, and then no, only one cell. Then you transpose it like this. So that works too. So the next thing we'll be learning is cut. Cut is simply to move something from somewhere to another place. So you can simply copy Jones, you cut it, then you come and paste it here. So you can use cut for that. Then the format painter, one of the most important tools in Excel as well, is format painter. So if you use Word and other stuff, you can also find it there. So it's very useful. All these tools that we are learning here can also be found most of them can be found in Word, so you can apply them. So you click on student name. Let's go and then come back to this format painter. Let's finish with fonts, and then we come back to this format painter. So under fonts, what do we want to do? Okay, let me delete this. Under fonts, basically, if you have used Word, then you shouldn't find any difficulty using any of these. You can simply copy this, and then you can add a bold, you can add italics, you can underline them. You can see it's underlined. You can basically do everything. You can change the You can change the font style. You can increase or decrease the font size. You can basically make it look nice the way you want it. And if you don't want a certain formatting, you can see that they have been highlighted here. You can just click it again and it will remove it. It will remove them for you. So we can also reduce this to okay, let's go 10. Okay, and then bring back this to this is too light. Let's go to okay, let's go here. All right, so that's basically what we can do with it. Okay, so we can bolden it again, increase it, and then underline it, utilize it. Okay, so the next thing we can also see is the fill color. This can be used to fill any of the cells. If you want a certain cell to be distinct, and then how do I say it, to be differentiated from the others, fine, you can use this fill color. So you click on it and then you can see that the cell is yellow now. So you can simply select a lot of cell and then you click it. If you want to change the color, you can simply click on the arrow and select any color that you want. You also have an option for additional colors. If you want, you can come here and select whatever color that you want. You can also use any RGB values. If you are new, then you probably wouldn't need it. So yeah, you can use any color that you want. So again, I will undo. This is the undo button. So I will click it until I go back to where I was, which is here. All right, so we can also change the font color. So if I want this font, this header to be green, I can simply click on this arrow, select green, and then it's green. Then this is the groupings for alignment. So let me get back to Format Painter before I forget, and then we proceed. Let's say we have student name here. And then as we have student name, we would like to apply the formatting here to score field here. What do we do then? All we have to do is select the cell we want to copy the formatting from. Okay, it's a format painter. So we select it, and then when you hover it, it says like the look of a particular selection, you can apply that look to other content in your document. It's as simple as that. And he said you should select the content with the formatting, select the content with the formatting that you like, click Format Painter, select something else to automatically apply it. So it's very simple and self-explanatory. So we select this, we click on Format Painter, and you can see you have the copy shadows going around it. Then we can simply click on Scorefield and then it will apply it. So it's also very, very useful. If you mess around your formatting, all you need to do is find a similar one, do a Format Painter like this, then you take it back. So that's how it works. All right, so we are now inside alignment. When we start inside in alignment, you can see when we entered student name here, it aligned. When we say alignment, alignment is simply how our texts are positioned. Okay, so you can see this is positioned to the left. This is positioned, the numbers are positioned to the right, the texts are positioned to the left. Again, if you want me to demonstrate, let's type a text here, which is, let's say, let's say gaming, and then we click on tab, you can see it's at the left, you can see it's at the left here, but when we come here and then we type number here, 200, it's at the right. So let's say you don't want the positioning of the number to be at the right, you can simply select it and then choose an alignment here. Where do you want it? So you can click on center to center it. You can click here to take it to the left, to the right. You can even take it if your cell is bigger. Again, you can also resize your rows just like you resized your columns. It's the same procedure. You can double click it to autofill it. Sorry, to auto resize it for you. So you can do it like this. And then when you want this content in the middle, all you have to do is select it, click here, and then it will come into the middle. What if you want it in the middle on the row and then middle of the column? So you click here at the top here, okay, and then you click here, then it will come at the center for you. So that's how that works. All right, so we continue. Okay, so that's how the alignment here works. So you can simply align it any way that you want. Again, you can mess around with it and then see how you can position stuffs. Okay, so you can also, position stuffs vertically and then horizontally. You can see how I just positioned this vertically. You can just position it like this. You can keep trying these stuffs out. The more you try, the more knowledge you get. It's as simple as that. You can get a whole bunch of functionalities. Then one of the two of the most important things you'll be learning in Excel, which you will use each and every day, is wrap text and then merge and center. It is very, 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 very important. It is very, very, very important. Okay, so when we started, you remember we typed student name, and then the name came under the index number, so we can't see the full name here. What did we do? We came and then we auto-resized it, or we resized it with our cursor. What if we still want to maintain this same cell length? Okay, you want to maintain the length of the cell. You don't want to increase it. Then what can we do? We can still increase the height like this. But if we increase the height, you can see we have a space here, but there is no text there. Meanwhile, we could use it, we could make it such that students can go up so that name will come down, and then our data will be nicely organized. So if you want to do that, we use the wrap text. Very, very important tool. You can just select student name here, click on wrap text, and then it will automatically do it for you. So you can see it. So we do this, and then it automatically does it for you. So let me take this opportunity to explain the concept of multiple selections. From the beginning, I've been doing single selection for each of the data that I'm working with. And then what you can also do is multiple selection. What is multiple selection? It's simply just selecting more than one cells to work with. So you just have to select where the beginning of that data is, and then you can simply drag the mouse just like I demonstrated. What you can also do is, what if you want to select all these rows? Okay, or these columns, sorry, or these rows. What do you do then? Let's say there is no text wrap here. Again, if there is something active, a formatting, an alignment, anything, and you want to disable it, all you have to do is just come and then click the gray. You come and click it again so that the gray will be removed, and then it is gone. So we click on bold, and then the bold is gone. You can see it's now white. When we click it back, it will be back to gray. So we click this, or dark gray or something like that. All right, so let's say we want to do multiple selections. So let me remove the wrap text here. Let me remove the wrap text here, and then we want to wrap this text like this. Okay, this is wrapped. We want to also do same to this, and then we also want to do same to this. Then what do we do? What if this is only 3? What if we have hundreds of them? What if we have thousands of them? What do we do then? So we have the option to select all of them, or select to do multi-selection. Okay, so let me remove them let me remove them again so that we can try the selection. Okay, so what we can do is, you can bring your arrow at the left, which is on the row, or at the top, which is on the column, and then you can see that your cursor turns into an arrow, a dark arrow, and you can use that dark arrow to select either the column or the row. So we want to make all these headers, and we want to wrap them so that they will look nice. What do? We just bring our cursor here. Okay, assuming we have many data here, all we do is we just bring our cursor here, we click it, we come to wrap text, and then it will do all of them for us. So right now we don't have data here. So what if we have data there? Immediately we enter a data there, it will wrap it for us because we have included them in our wrap text. How do I know that? You can click in any of the empty cells in the row, and then you can see that the wrap text is still grade. Yes, there is still a dark gray on the wrap text, simply meaning that formatting is still being used on that cell. So that's how it works. And if I click this and then I remove it, you can see that when I click here, it's no more there, but when I click here, it's there. So let's type two text inside these two boxes. So let's say this is first name. Okay, you can see automatically the wrap text has done its job. What if we type first name here? You can see it's you can see the name, the E is hiding. Okay, let's add some more first name 2. Okay, you can see this is how it works. So right now it's not hiding because we don't have any text here. Immediately we have a text here, it will hide. So that's how it works. These are just simple technicalities that you know them when you work with Excel. You keep working with them, you get to know them. All right, so what if we want a header? We want to give a header for this data. Let's delete this. What if we want a header for our data? Then what do we do? Okay, let me drag this so that the agenda will be nice. All right, so and then let me position it in the middle. Okay, so what if, and then the underline is very weird. Let me remove it and then change the color back to black. Okay, then it looks okay now. All right, let me also do a multiple selection here and then center all these so that it will also look nice. Let me also center this so that it will also look nice. Okay, so let's work on inserting a header for our data. And I want to teach you something quick. This is just a quick one. I think I forgot to add previously. So what you can do is, whenever you have data in your Excel worksheet or in your cells, and then you want to have data at a certain section or at a certain part, in between certain rows, in between certain columns in your data, what you do is you can simply use the cut and then paste function that I showed you. So you can simply copy this section. Let's say you want the index, you want the names to start from row number 3 instead of row number 2, so that this place will be empty. What you can do here is you can copy here, then you press Ctrl plus X to cut it. If you also want to use this, you can come here and cut it. But as you can see, Excel already indicated to us that you can use the Ctrl X shortcut. So you can simply cut it. Then you come and select where you want to paste it. Okay, where does the data start from? It starts from cell A3. So we select cell A3, even though it is within where we are cutting our data or copying our data from. We can still select it and then paste it so that Excel will take it from there. So we simply select the A3, and then we click on the paste, and then we move our data downwards. So this is one way we can do it. There's one way we can move data around. And there is a better way of even doing this. You don't have to cut. What if you have plenty of data, and if your data is a lot, then you have problems in dealing with it. Okay, so what you can also do is, instead of cutting it and then pasting it wherever you want to, you can simply, let me undo it. You can see what you can simply do is you can just select it, then you can cut it and then move it around. Okay, so you can select it, cut it, then you can press and hold the left mouse button, and then, oh, it seems it's not working. All right, let's proceed. So back to what I was saying. If you would like to move data somewhere, you can use the cut and paste method, or you can use a more efficient method, which is like this. Let me undo what I did. So we have what we had initially. So what I can do is I want to insert a row in between the student name and then Jones. Okay, I want to insert a row in between the student name and then Jones. So that row will become row 2, so that this row 2 will shift down, and then Jones will become row 3, Sarah row 4, Schofield row 5, and then Jones row 6. So they will each shift down 1. Okay, so what we can do with this is we can simply come to the left hand side, which is our rows, where our rows are. Then what we can do is we select where do we need the rows, the new rows. If we need it on top of Jones, then we select Jones. If we need it on top of Sarah, then we select Sarah. If we need it on top of Schofield, then we select Schofield. So over here we will need to select Jones. After selecting Jones, because we need that rows in between the student name and then Jones, so we need to select Jones. Then we right click. Immediately we right click, we will have this option to insert a row there. So we click on it and then a new row is inserted. So it's as simple as that. You don't need to cut or copy your data around if you only need to insert a new row. So this is not what we want to do. We want to insert a header, and the header should be on top of the student name, index number, and gender. Okay, we want to insert let's say the header for our organization name and then the header for this document. So we can simply click here and then go to insert, and then we will have a row on top of this. After having the row, what we can do now is we can now type our header in there. So we want this to be the list of students in the school. Let's add that. I want it to be longer, so we can also add that. All right. Okay, so we can have list of students in the school. So let's try this. Now I would like to center this. I would like it to be at the center of these 3 columns. What do I do then? I have it here. Let's try using the alignment option and see. I click on the alignment and you can see that it's not helping. It's making matters worse. Okay, I click on left and it's still not working, right, and it's still not working. The reason is it only takes the shape of we entered this list of students in the school in cell A1. So whatever we are doing applies to only cell A1. Meanwhile, what we want to do is we want to make it fill cell A1, B1, and then C1. Okay, so we want our data to fill cell A1, B1, and then C1. We don't need it in only A1, because if it's in only A1 and we center it, it will be centered in A1. If we take it to the left, it will be at the left of A1. If we take it to the right, it will be at the right side of A1. So what we can now do is we can select this cell, multiple selection of cells. We can select this cell as well, cell B1 and then cell C1. Then we come to the merge and center functionality. This is when we use the merge and center. So merge and center simply means we want to put all these together. We want to merge them together and then center the text. Okay, so it's simply merging and then center the text. So when you click on this small arrow here, you have some you have a couple of options. You can merge and center, you can merge across, you can merge the cells and stuffs. So you can do only merging. Okay, you can only merge and then you don't center. Okay, you can also merge and then center at the same time, because most of the time if you merge, you are just centering the entire text. So that is why it is at the top. So you can simply click it so that you can merge and then center. Now you can see that it has been centered and aligned nicely. So now we can apply the needed formatting. We can increase the font, but again you can see it's longer here, so we can either stretch this here to make it fit, or we can use what you guessed right, the wrap text. Okay, and when we use the wrap, okay, we can use the wrap text. It's not taking the full shape, so we can just auto. Oh, it's still not working. Okay, we can just drag it and then we will have it nicely there. All right, so when you use the wrap text and it's still not wrapping nicely, you can simply drag, increase the height, and then you have it as nicely as you want it. So if we want this to be a little up, we can do this. We can put it at the top. We can shift it to the right, to the left, to the center. So that's how it all works. So you can use all these functionalities at the same time on the same data. Okay, so we are done with alignment. The next thing we'll be doing is number. Number will mostly have to do with numbers, and this is also very, very important concept. Most of the time you'll be dealing with money. Not all numbers. Not all numbers are just mere numbers. You know, you need to define what type of number you need. Okay, and not just number, also text. Sometimes you need to define what type of text you are using, what you'll be using it for. If you define these things very well, you won't mess up your data. There is a huge possibility that you have a nice data structure, and then it will be okay working with this data. So let's say we want to have fees here. Okay, if we have fees here, probably whatever value we are going to have below it is a monetary value. Okay, this is why this section is very important. So we can type 100 here, 200 here, 300 here, 400 here. So let me use my home currency, which is Ghana cedis, to make an example. If we are entering all this here, and it needs 2 zeros, it needs a dot and then 2 zeros, okay, so that it can calculate for pesos. These are cedis, and it needs to calculate for pesos, just like a dollar will have to calculate for what do we call it? I've forgotten the name. All right, so we need to calculate for the pesos. Okay, so what we will do is, it's a monetary value. So what we can do is, we can just define the kind of data we need for this. So we can just copy it, come here, and then we check it to currency. So you can see that it has 2.00. Most currencies have that. My home currency have that. So you can use that. All right, so you can just click it, and then we can see that we have the monetary value there. So that is how you can define money or currency. Okay, so you can also edit to remove all these stuffs. We will learn all that later on. All right, so you can change it back to general, which is what we were using. You can simply add the monetary value without any specific currency. This is mostly what people do, so that you can add the currency symbol here. So if it's US dollars, you can do maybe USD, or you can add the US dollar symbol there. It all depends on you. So you can have your data like this, so that it will be in monetary form. And also, when you make it like this, it's very easier to work with. You'll be able to work with pesos. You'll be able to work with all right, all these lower level currencies. You can work with them. Lower denominations in a currency, you can work with all of them. All right, so that is it for the number section. And then conditional formatting, also very, very important, but we are not going to do that now. It's very important. I'm going to talk about it, but not now. Okay, then you can also format a table. We haven't worked with tables yet, so we will come there and then work with them. We also have some styles, and we will also get to that. All right, so you have these little stuff for working with cells. This gives you very strong or very nice functionalities. They are very important functionalities. So just like what I did, insertion of cells, you can do that with this option. You can either come here. When you see the arrow, you just click, and then you right click, then you insert a cell there. You can also delete a cell the same way you have delete here. So you can delete this data by doing it, deleting it just like I deleted it. You right click, and then you have the options to delete it. So let me undo, because I don't want my data deleted. So I can delete Jones by just right clicking and clicking delete. I can also decide not to delete the row, but clear the contents of the row. So I can just click on clear contents, and it will be gone. All right, if I delete, this row will be removed, and then this row will shift up. But if I clear let's say I delete Scofield will be removed, and then Jones will shift up, and then Jones will be number 5. So after Sarah, there will be Jones. But if I clear the contents, the row number 5 will remain empty, so that Jones will still be row number 6. So let's try both. I can click on clear contents, and you can see Sarah is number 4, Jones is number 6. Let me undo, and then I can delete and then you can see. So this is how you manipulate your data. So when you are doing data manipulation, you have a very good understanding of what you are doing. All right, so that's basically what this insert does. It's used to insert rows and stuffs. So let's try and see. Okay, so you can see that it works perfectly. So you just select the row. If you want to insert a row, you select the row below where you need it. Then you come and click on insert, and then it will insert there. You can also insert columns the same way. You just highlight the entire column, and then you click on insert. So it's as simple as that. You can insert as many as possible, as many as you want. So this is how you can feel free to, you know, work, play around with it. That's the best way to learn it. If you keep practicing and yeah, playing around with stuffs, you get to know more. All right, so you can also use the same thing to delete data, just like I did. You can delete from here, and you can also delete from here. All right, so we can also use this formatting cells. What this does is it has a whole bunch of functionalities, but I'm not gonna do that now. I'll do that later on. It's let me give you the basics. It can just format your cells nicely for you. You will see that you realize that we are struggling with the cell sizes, the height, and the width. We keep resizing it here and stuff. You can decide to forget, or you can decide to ignore all of them. Work with your data, finish all your data. After having your data, you can just copy it, then come to format, then row height. You can click on row height and define your own row height. So let's say I want the row height, which is each row, the height between each row, the height for each row. If I want it to be 25, I can click 25, and then you can see that they are bigger. So I can define this, and you will see these are smaller, but where I highlighted, they are now bigger. So we won't struggle with. You can see we are struggling with this. You can define all that under the format section. We will use that later on. Very, very handy tool. Okay, we also have the auto sum right here. It's also the same tool at the formulas tab, but just like I told you, at the home tab, Excel have just put all those handy stuff together so that we can use them. So you can see they are the same tools that we had at the formulas section. So we also have this that we can use for filling or autofill and stuffs. We are not gonna get there yet. We have a whole lot of stuffs, a whole lot of things to cover. So we move on. We also have this clear, and it's used for clearing formatting. All right. So let's try this and see. So I can say clear format, and then you can see it has moved it back to its original place. So this is mostly used when you copy something from the internet. All right, and then it looks very ugly on your workbook. You can use it in Word. You can use it in PowerPoint when you copy something from the internet, and it looks very ugly. You can simply copy the whole data. You come here, and then you clear the format. If you clear the format, it will go to the original form so that you can edit it any way that you want. So this way I can do my own editing and stuffs. All right, so let me undo and stretch this a little. Okay, then we have sort and filter. All right, this editing tool here, this editing grouping here, find sort and filter, very, very, very important. Also for doing sorting and stuff, we're gonna get there when we start working with actual data. We also have find and select for finding stuffs, and then you can replace things with it. All right, so let me demonstrate to you how sort and filter works. So let's say we have this data right here. I know this data is not plenty, but if you have thousands of records, tens of thousands of records, it's very, very, very handy. So let's use just this, let me say demo data to demonstrate. Let me include fees to the merge. Okay. All right. So then push it up a little. Okay. So let's say we have lots of data. Let's say hundreds, 500, thousands of data, and then we want to be able to sort the data in a way that will be meaningful to us. All right. So what we can do is, first we need to define the headers. All right. We need to define the headers so that we will know that this is not part of the data, and that is what we are actually going to use for our criteria, whatever that we are going to use. So to do that, we can just copy this, then go to find sort and filter, and then what we are going to do is we want to sort this data from let's see, we want to sort it alphabetically. All right, or we want to sort the fees. Okay, we want to sort it by gender. We want the females to come up and then the males to go down. All right, so we want to sort it by gender. So let me add one more female, so that, let me make this Jane. Let me make this Jane, and then let me make this female. Okay, so that we have 2 males, 2 female. All right, so what we can do is we can select the header, then we come to sort and filter. We first click on sort. Let's first click on this filter option. We click it, and then we get these arrows. So these arrows are what we are going to use for our sorting and our filter. All right. So let me repeat again. I just copied this. I came to sort and filter, and then I clicked on filter. You can see it's gone. I can come here, click it again, and then it's there. All right. Then we can sort. We want to sort by gender. All right. So we can come to gender, click on the arrow, then we will get a sort here. All right. So we can just click here. Sorting is simply is an arrangement. All right. Sorting simply means arrangement. So how do we want to arrange the data so that we can find something easily? Let's say we want to find something fast, or we want to find something. Yes, we want to find something fast, and we need all the females out of the data first before the male. Something like that. We can come here and then sort A to Z. If we sort A to Z, the reason why female comes before male is female is F. So from A to Z, F comes before M. F before M. So female will sort before M. Same thing, if we want to sort, we want male to come before female, we can sort from Z to A. All right, so that M will come before F. All right, so that's what happens. And one thing about sorting is, if you sort something, if you sort here, whatever data changes here, it changes dynamically with everything inside inside the data here. If you change this, it changes dynamically with this. All right, so that you won't have only this sorted and then this wouldn't be. If you failed to, let's say, let me remove the filter. If you had copied only these 3, you should be very, very careful when doing this. You can mess up your data, and I'll suggest you even do a backup before you try it the first time, or you just get a blank sheet, you mess around with it before you try for the first time. You come to sort and filter, then you click on the filter to get the arrows here. After getting the arrows, you can see I didn't include fees. All right. So if I want to sort by gender, or if I want to sort by index number, I want index number. Okay, this is 100. Then let's make this 103. If we want index number 100 to come first, 101, 102, 103, you can just come to index number and then sort from smallest to largest, so that 100 will come first before the rest. But check this. You can, let me copy this data and then paste it here. All right, so that we can refer to it later. So we can simply do this and then sort from smallest to largest. So what you realize is John, we have John here. His index number is 100, so it's correct. His gender is male, so it's correct. But you can see his fees is 200, which we have 100 here, so it is incorrect. All right, so we just messed up our data, and the only way we can undo this is to obviously use the undo button. All right, so that it can come back to its original state, and then we pick it from there again. Why did this happen? The reason is when I was copying the cells for the sorting, I excluded the fees section. I didn't add the fees section. If you fail to add it, it will not. If you fail to add it, it will not be part of the sorting. So let's say you have hundreds of columns, and then you only want to sort 5 of them. You can select it and then you sort it in that way. But I would suggest you have a backup somewhere so that later on when you mess it up, you can go back to it. All right, so that's why our data messed up. So let's sort by name so that A will come first, so J comes before S, obviously. So you can see that Jane's fees is 200, but originally it's 400, all because we didn't add the fees. So let me undo it and do it the right way. All right, so I'll copy all the 4 cells. Then I'll come and click on the filter. Now I can sort by index number without having any problem. So we can see Scofield is 300, we have Scofield 300 here. Jane is 400, we have Jane 400 here. We have Jones 100 here, June is 100. You can see our data is nicely sorted. Same way we can filter data. To filter data means you are taking some out. A filter simply means you are taking some, you are leaving some of the data out. You only want to see a section of your data. So to do that, we want to sort the gender. We want to sort, we remove all the male and then we have only female. So what we can do is we can click on the gender arrow. Then here is select all. So what we can do is we want to remove the males and leave only the females. So I can click on male so that uncheck the male checkbox and then click OK, and all the males will disappear and leave only the females. All right. So that's it. Okay, let me try that again. Okay. All right. So that's just the way you do that. All right. So that's sorting and filter. It's very handy, but you need to be careful when using it. Then we have the find and replace, also very important. If you want to find something in your work, you can click on the find and replace. You just come here, you click on find, and then it will open the tool for you. So the first tab is find, the second one is replace. We are going to use the find first. So what do we want to find? It says find what. So let's enter that there. We want to find index number 101. So let's enter 101 and then click on find next. All right. Immediately we click on find next, we can see obviously we have 101 here, so it's here. We also have 101 here, so we get it there. All right, so let me delete this because it duplicates. Okay, so we can simply find 101 here, and then we can also search for someone. Owen, let's say we want to search for Sarah. No, let's search for Jane. We can just type Jane, find next, and then we find Jane. So you can use it to find anything within your data. All right, so okay, one thing also is, let's say what you are finding is you want to find females, okay, and then you type female. All right, or most of the time usually names are duplicated. Let's say there are 3 people called Jane, so let me add one more. Let me add one more Sarah. So we have Sarah here, 105, 104, also female, and then 300. Okay, so what we can do is we come to find, sorry, we want to use find, not replace. We come to find, then we can type Sarah here, and then when we click on find next, immediately I press enter, you can see we have the first Sarah. If I click on find next, I'll get the next Sarah. All right, so if I have another Sarah and I click next, it will go there, but since it has ended, it will just be switching between the 2 Sarahs. All right, so if I don't want to do that and I don't want to find, I just, it's too tiresome, I can't find it all here, I can just do all that here. I can just click on find all, and then it will show me where all Sarah, I can find all names with the value called Sarah. All right, so I can simply click here and then it will bring me the navigate. If you have thousands of data, this will be very handy so that you can simply navigate. You also have this options button. What this options button does is it gives you additional functionalities to find what you are looking for easily and faster. All right, so let me click that, and then you can see it opens a whole new section for me. So he says find what I said Sarah. He said within where, and I said within sheet. Within sheet means I'm searching within only this sheet. So let's say if I had another Sarah here, and another in this sheet. Remember I told you what we are working with is a workbook. So this is a worksheet, this is another worksheet. If you only have one, you can click on this plus, then you have another worksheet. So this is one. So we can have another Sarah here, then we come here, type another Sarah. All right. So we have Sarah here, and then Sarah here. So we have two Sarahs in sheet 5, one Sarah here, and then one Sarah here. Forget about the naming of the sheet. You can just add as many sheets as you want and then add those names. All right. So let's say we want to find Sarah here, but we have chunks of data. We have students' fees, this tab representing. So let's rename it to fees. Okay, to rename, you just right click and then you click on rename so that you can track them very well. So we can just rename it to fees, and then let's rename this to students list, and then let's rename this to what do we name this to? This is fees. Okay, this is registered students. All right, so we have fees here. So this is for fees data. So you can just copy them. All right, I want us to have data in every part of the sheet so that we can work with them. All right, so you can just copy them here, and then we don't need a fees section because over here we only need a student list. All right, and then we have registered students. So let's say only a few of these have registered, so only these 3. So let me copy them here. Okay, here. Then I'll bring my headers there. I'll bring these headers here. And then remember, I showed you how you can delete a row. We don't need a fish row, so I can just click and then delete it. All right, so let's just stretch this to make it look nicer. Okay, so I'll change this header to registered students. Registered, I hope I'm correct. This is fees, student fees data. Then let's change this to students list. Okay, students list should be fine. All right, so let's make it look a little nicer. Okay, and then let's continue. So back to the find. If we want to find something within, now we are the active sheet. The active sheet is fees. So if you want to find something in the fees sheet, what we can do is we can just type what we want to find. But what if we want to find something throughout our whole workbook? Then what we will do is we have to come here, then search for Sarah, then find him, because after finding Sarah here, it will not take me to fees. But if I want to search for Sarah, not only in this sheet, but in the student list and the registered students list as well, what I can just do is I can type Sarah there, and then within, I can change from sheet to workbook. All right. And then if I change to workbook and then I try to find it, you can see it's taking me to the other sheet, and you can track it by checking the tabs here. You can see that it has changed to student list and there is Sarah here. It now takes me to fees, and it says there is another Sarah in fees. It can now take me to, it takes me to the last Sarah. It takes me to the registered student Sarah, so we can find Sarah anywhere. All right, so we can also search by rows or by columns, and then we can also use this match case and then match entire content, cell contents. This is just if you want to match it to exactly what you are typing. Especially these are mostly useful for numbers. So let's say we try to type Sarah without the H. Let's see what happens. We still get Sarah. All right, but what if we want to match the entire cell contents? Then what we do is we don't get anything. He said we couldn't find what you are looking for. Why? Because we said it should match the entire cell content. And then Sarah without an H is not the same as Sarah with an H. So that's how it works. So we can simply add the H and then leave it ticked, search again, and then we find Sarah. All right. Then we can also match case. If we match case, we can find it now. But what if we change the S to a capital? All right. So when we click, it will not. We are not gonna get it because obviously this Sarah has a lowercase s. This Sarah has an uppercase s. So that's how that also works. If you want to match the exact case, so you should know what you are doing or exactly what you are looking for in order to use these two functionalities. All right. So the next thing that we will learn is replace. Okay. So you can find it by coming to replace here, or you can simply find it where at the find functionality you can just see replace beside it. So you just click it, and then it says find what. So what do you want to find? Although you want to replace, it's asking you find what. You need to find something and then replace it. That's how it works. Let's say Scofield, the spelling for the name Scofield is wrong, so we want to replace it. We don't want the name for Scofield to be with an R. There is no R there, so we want it to be Scofield. So what we do is we come and then we find Scofield. So we find Scofield, and then we replace it with no, this one includes an R. Okay, then we replace it with Scofield. Again, you can use the match case and the match entire cell contents if you know specifically what you are looking for. All right, then what we can do is we can first find him. After finding him, it says we have a Scofield in this sheet student list. We have one in fees. We have one in registered students. After finding him, then we can do a replace all. So when we click on replace all, it will replace. It says all done. We have made 3 replacements. So we have replaced all the Scofield with this Scofield. All right. So that's how you can replace stuffs in Excel. This is also a very, very handy tool, especially if you want to, let's say you have names and you want to change the separator for the names, you can use that. So let's say we have Jane Mensah, we have Sarah Newman, we have, I think new, should it be W? I don't know, but yeah, something like that. We have Scofield or Bain, we have Jane, I don't know, Jane Obuo. Then we have Sarah, I don't know, Sarah Eric, if that's fine. All right, so let's say we have data like this. All right, then what? Maybe we want to create. Let's say. All right, let's say we don't want the spaces in between all these names. All right, we don't want the spaces between all these names. What can we do then? All right, what can we do then if you don't need the spaces in all these names? We just want them to we just want to put the names together. Jane Mensah should be together. Sarah Newman. We can just copy it, and then we come and clear here, and then look what I'm doing. You can simply click on spacebar. Okay, so you are finding spacebar, and what are you replacing it with? You are not replacing it with anything. So we can just click on replace, and as you can see, I've highlighted the exact data I'm applying this to. It means I'm not applying it to everything. So I can just click replace all, and it says all done. We have made 16 replacements. You can see it has put the names together. So it's very handy, and you need to be creative with it, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. All right, so let me undo, because obviously I don't want my data like that. So that's it with the find and then replace, very, very handy tool. Okay, so we go to the insert tab. With the insert tab, we have these advanced features. I will teach tables later on, but these are a little advanced. You'll get there maybe some part of the tutorial, but not now. So we can also insert tables. All right, you get to tables also. But one thing we can also do here is we can insert pictures. Let's say we want to insert a a very nice logo here. Let's open this a little bit at the student section, and then let's come home and then bring this downwards, all right, or in the middle, so that we can insert a logo at the left side. So you can just come to insert, then click on pictures. All right, so it immediately brings you to your pictures location. You find where the pictures are. If they are, it's at the desktop, you obviously go to the desktop. So I'm not sure I have any pictures. I'm not sure I have any pictures on my computer. All right, but if I had one, I'll simply select it, click on insert, then I'll have the picture here. Then you can just hold it, and then let me just make a quick picture, and then we proceed with the tutorials. All right, so all right, so now I have a picture. So I can just simply come to insert, then I go to pictures, then you can see I have my picture here. I can simply click it, then click on insert, then obviously this is a very, very bad looking picture. All right, so I can, let's say this is my logo. I can keep this as my logo and then use it anywhere I want to. If you want an actual let's say an actual logo, a demo, you can simply do insert shapes. All right, I think this will look better. So we can I don't have an option to save as picture. All right, so let's keep that picture. All right, so you can simply insert it and then move it around any way that you want. All right, so let's say this is a picture. We can resize it here. Okay, we can resize it here as well. I simply took a screenshot of my screen and then made it a picture. So we can also do this. All right, so let's take this as my logo. Then we can drag it here, resize it well. Then it will look very nicely here. All right, but obviously there is not a logo, so I have to delete it anyway. All right, so that's it for pictures. So if you want to add logo or any picture to your documents, you can do that. And you also have an option for icons, but unless you are connected to the internet, then you get some icons from Microsoft, and then you use them. We also have charts, but we will learn charts along with tables later on during these tutorials. All right, so all these stuffs, we are not going to learn them now. What we are going to learn is a text box. A text box is simply, you remember when we were adding this student list here, we struggled a lot. We had to merge and center, we had to drag, we had to change the height and stuffs. What we can also use is a text box. Although it's not used regularly, you can still use it. So you just click on text box, you get this plus, then you use it to define where you need a text box. So we can type in here students list, then we can simply copy it and then format it the way that we want. Or we can simply, let's try the, not working. Let's try the format painter if it's gonna work. It's not gonna work. So we can simply format it in a way that we want. All right. Then we can drag it here and then have our student data, student list. We can then have our header like that. All right, so you can see that it's in front of the student list behind it. You can see it's obviously in front. Okay, so that's what happens. So you can just delete it and then move ahead with it. Move ahead with our tutorial. So it's also very important if you want to use it. Then one thing also important is a header and a footer. What is a header or what is a footer? Usually when you are working with documents, you sometimes need something that repeats in each of the pages. All right, and that is where you can use a header and a footer. A header is different from this. This is, although this is a header, there's a heading for my document. It's not a header. A header, it's something that will repeat in mostly all the pages in your document, unless you don't need it and then you specifically define that you don't need it. So let's say we want to add, what are the things that repeats in our document? One, it's page number. All right, page numbers always repeat. So in every page we are going to have a page number. So obviously we can use a header for it, but if we need the page number at the bottom of the page, we will use what? A footer. So that is the difference between the two. So we can click on that, and immediately we click, you can see that we are open to a new design tab. So this is where we define the headers that, or the footers that we want to. So it's saying what header do we want to insert here. All right, so what type of header do we want to insert here? When we click on this arrow, we obviously have a lot of stuff that we can insert there, but I don't want to. I only want to insert a page number. So we can just click on page number, and then you can see we have this alpha sign and then the page. So we just click on another cell, and then that's it. We have the page number. This is page 1. So what if we go to another page? Let's type here, let's say JJJJJ, and then click on enter. You can see we have page 2. What if we come to this page and continue? We have page 2 again. All right, so this is our first page, this is our second page, this is our third page. So it's numbering from top to down. All right, so that's how we get our pages numbered, by using a header or a footer. So additionally, we can also use a footer for that. You click inside the footer, you come to the design tab, then you click on page number. All right, then you click anywhere else, then you can have the page number at the footer as well. So this is very handy, especially if you are working with letterheads, something, and you need repeating words or repeating statements. Let's say ABC Limited, telephone 0000000. All right, so let's say this is our letterhead, or this is the header, what we want to repeat in all our documents. Immediately we type only one. We don't need to type for all of them. You just need to do for only one, and then it will repeat for the rest. So it's very handy. We have our page numbers, and then we have the header. All right, so back to the insert tab. So that's it for header and footer. We also have word art for adding graphical stuff. You can add this, you can see nicely looking A there. All right, so when it comes here, it says your text here, so we can simply type in our text. Let's say ABC company. All right, then we can move it anywhere that we want to, assuming we need it. All right, so that's it. So it also brings you to the format, and it gives you a whole lot of formatting stuff. So if you need to use it, you can use it. Okay, so we can also insert equations. So what you do is, if you want to define your own equation, let me move from this place. I know we haven't gotten to view, but let me move from there. If you want to move from there, you simply go to view. It will be on the page layout view. You just come to normal view. All right, you switch from page layout to normal view. We will get there soon. All right, so let's go back to insert, and then insert an equation. When we click on this equation button, okay, what we are going to do is we are going to get a new design tab to type in our own equation, or to work with our own equation. So what type of equation do you want to work with? Do you want to work with fractions? Do you want to work with a script? You want a radical equation, an integral equation, or a large operator? Whatever you want to work with, you have all those options here. So if you want to work with fractions, you can simply click on fractions, and then what type of fraction you want. So you can visually see that there are different ways of representing the fraction. So we can just use this stacked fraction. All right, and then when we use it, let me open it small. When we use it, we can have the space to enter stuff here. So 225 divided by 55. All right, so this is the fraction I wanted to enter. So what I can do is I can now move it anywhere within my document that I want. Remember, these lines are not printable. All right, these lines are not printable, so I can basically move it anywhere that I want. I can position it any way that I want. So that's it for formulas. We can also, equations, yeah, and formulas. And then we can also work with symbols. You click and then you have tons of symbols. So let's say you need, let's go to fees. Let's go to fees, and then let's say US dollars. We needed the US dollar. We needed a symbol here to represent it. We can simply click there, go to symbols, then find the symbol that we need. We have all right, we have this symbol here. You can simply click on insert, and then it will insert it after the text in the symbol, after the text. Yeah, so we can basically use it anywhere else we want. We can use it as many as we want. So it all depends on the data you are working with. So the next thing we are going to do is page layout, how our page is laid out, which is also very important, especially for printing and how our document looks like. All right, so that is mostly what the page layout section or tab do. So the most important action here obviously is the orientation, how you want your page to be oriented. Do you want it to be oriented vertically like this, or you want it horizontally like this? All right, if you want your page to be horizontally oriented so that when you print you get an horizontal oriented data, then you can use this orientation. You can set it by default. Excel page is set to portrait, so you can see portrait is selected, so you can select landscape. And immediately select, you take note of this dotted lines. All right, you can see, let me zoom in. Okay, let me zoom in. You can see the dotted lines here. All right, so that's these dotted lines, all right, shows you where your page ends, shows you the shape of your page. All right, so this obviously you can see that it's landscape. So let me select so that you can see it. Well, it's like this, so you can obviously see it's landscape. When I change it to portrait, you can see the dotted lines have changed to this. So let me select it again so that you can visually see it well. All right, so you can see that it's now portrait. So that's what it does. This can also determine this size here can also determine the size of the size of your sheet, or if you are printing it, the size of the sheet. All right, so it's basically always under letter. You can also use A4, that is also fine. But if you change it to, let's say, A3, you can see the dotted lines have moved. Let me undo this. Okay, so size. All right, let me change it back to A3. On A3, you can see the dotted lines is just in front of G, column G. All right, but when I change it back to A3, you can see now it's in front of K, which means it has moved. All right, so obviously A3 is bigger than A4, so you can see it has increased in size. So you can also break pages, but we are not going to use that now. If you want your page to print out to a certain section and continue in another page, you can use that as well. So I think this basically what we will do here. Then one important thing you remember, I told you these lines are all these horizontal and vertical lines. They are not printable. All right, they are not printable. They are just how do I say? They are just grid lines. That's what Excel calls it. All right, they are grid lines. They form these grids for you. These squares are the grids. They form the grid for you. So what happens is, if what happens is they are just there to guide you and let you know the cells you are working with, how you are orienting your data. All right, so when you come to this sheet options, you can see this under this grid lines, you can see the view section is ticked. Okay, so you can simply untick it and then you will see your actual sheet. This is how the sheet is supposed to be. But just imagine how difficult it will be. You'll be able to work. How difficult it will be able to for you to work with Excel without these lines. So now it looks like MS Word, and you can simply type stuff inside. But don't forget, you still have your cells, and you have to track them even though you don't know where the grid lines are. So it's important that your grid lines will always be on so that you will be able to track them. All right. You also have this headings, which is for the rows and columns. You can simply uncheck it if you don't need it, but you obviously need it. All right. If you uncheck it, then how do you track the cells again, or how do you track which row you are working with? Again, don't forget there is the name box. All right. So you can simply uncheck it back, and then all right. So when it's not there, you can track the rows and the columns. So we are in column G, row 9. We are in column H, row 17. But obviously, when it's there, it's easier for us to work with. This we are not going to touch because it's not needed for what we are going to do. We go to formulas, and under formulas, we have all this bunch of formulas, and they open a new world of Excel to you. This is where the real fun actually starts. You can do a whole lot of stuffs with these formulas. All right, if you are coming in from Word and you always have to put, take out your calculator, put figures together, and then put the value there, then trust me, all that stuffs are done for you already. You don't need to do that. Excel automatically does all that for you. Excel, it's let's say a very intelligent calculator. You can put it that way. Very, very intelligent one. All right, so it does most. If it's about calculations, then Excel is there for you. It can do almost any kind of calculation that you need. All right, for the basic ones, you don't even need to do any work. It's just gonna do all the work for you. All right, so what if we want to know the total for all the fees? What do we do then? All right, so we have a lot of options. You can simply add all these with our calculator and then enter the value here. So we have 700, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. All right, then we enter 1,300 here. That's obviously gonna work. But what is the problem here? What if I change this back to 200? All right, if I change this back to 200, I have to come and deduct 100 from this and bring it to 1,200. All right, so what if I forget to bring it back to 1,200? Then we have a very bad data because we cannot, this very inaccurate and doesn't reflect the amount we have here. That is why we need to use formulas. If we use a formula, it will detect any changes and it will reflect, the changes will reflect. Whatever changes you make, the formula will automatically detect it and then it will reflect. That is the purpose of using a formula. It is very important to understand that. All right, so let's say we want to add the totals for all the fees. What do we do then? We have a formula called sum, all right? Don't worry about writing formulas. Let's allow Excel to do all the work for us. We are not going to do anything. We are just going to relax and Excel is going to do all the work for us. We are not writing any formulas. We are not there yet. We are just letting Excel do the magic for us. So we just click on where we need the totals, which is obviously here. All right. So we come to auto sum and then we have the sum function here. So all we have to do is let's just click on it. All right. Whatever data that we have, don't worry, just click on enter. Immediately you click on enter, Excel automatically calculates the total for you. You haven't entered any formula, you didn't do anything. All you just did was, let me delete again. You go to this arrow here, or you can just simply click on this auto sum button. You click on enter and Excel automatically does all the work for you. It detects all the values, it pulls them together, and then it calculates. All right, now what if we change this back to 300? What happens? Just like I told you, the formula will auto-detect it and then update itself. So let's change this back to 300 and let's see. Now we have 1,300. Let's change this back to 500. Then we have 1,600. So that's what Excel does for you off the box. All right. So this is the total fees. All right, what if we need the average fees? What do? Do we put all of them together? That means we have to put all these together, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 elements. So we put them together and we divide by 5, then we get the average here. It's a whole lot of work. We don't have to do any of that. You just click on the arrow here, then you click on average, then you click on enter, then Excel does all the work for you. This is the average. You can put them together with your calculator, divided by 5. You can divide this value here by 5, and you're gonna get this. All right, so that's how Excel works off the box. It gives you all these functionalities without doing anything. What else can we do? We can count the numbers. So let's count. So let's say count, and then let's come here and let's see what we get. All right, so it counted everything, but what it did was it counted from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It counted from here to here. So let's be careful here. It means Excel automatically picked all the cells here and included this in our average. All right, because we have this value on top of it. If we didn't have this value, all right, and then we wanted to calculate for our average, it will be different because it won't include the total. So we can now calculate for our average. You can see you have 320 because it included the total the first time. So we have to be careful about that. When we are letting Excel automatically picks everything for us, because it picks everything on top of your totals, and then everything on top of your calculation, and then it just uses that range. We will learn how to fix that manually later on, so you don't need to worry. All right, so there's average. We can find the maximum. So maximum number, which of these numbers is the maximum? So let's delete it. Go here, click on max, click on enter, and then it automatically tells us it's 500. What if we change 300 back to 600? Then we get 600 as the maximum. How about the minimum? It's the same thing. We delete this. Let's delete this, then come here and then click on minimum. Then we have our minimum value. What if we change this back from 500 to 20? Then we get 20 as the minimum. All right, so this is how the Excel functions work. I will show you how to calculate Excel, how to make Excel calculations in a more better way and more prudent way than we are doing right now. All right, what we are doing right now is just lazy work, and Excel can make any error at any time for us. So we need to know how to do it by ourselves. All right, so this obviously is the mostly used. I showed you this already. It's for finances and accounting stuff. We are not gonna we're not gonna touch that. We are gonna touch logical operators, but we are not there yet. All right. So we continue with our tutorials. I'm not sure we're gonna need anything here for now. They are all advanced stuffs. We get there later on. All right. We go to data, and then we get all these stuffs here. Okay, you remember sort and filter. We had that at the home. I told you Excel puts all these handy stuff together and then put them at the home tab so that you can find them easily. All right. So one thing we can also find here is we can import stuffs. What can we import? We can import text files. We can import stuff from the web. We can import tables from other places. We can import other Excel data, a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so when we click this right here, it will ask us where we want to import from. All right, so if we want to import the data from another Excel workbook, so let's say let's create another Excel workbook for this exercise. Okay, so what I did was I pressed Ctrl+N to create another workbook, but you can obviously go to File, you go to New, and then you select a new blank template. All right, so you have this new template here. So let's copy this data, student fees data. I don't want to type all the data all over again, and then paste them here. All right, let's change this to staff data. All right, so this will obviously be staff name, and let's make this staff ID. All right, gender, and then let's make this salary. Okay, so this value should be much higher than that. So 2k, 2500, 2100, 2300, 2200. All right. Now let's delete this. Okay. All right. Then let's delete this. I'm not sure we will need this here. Let's delete it. All right. So all right. So we can now save. You remember the save button here? You just click it and then it will save your work. So let's browse to the location that we need. I'll be saving it. Yeah, documents. So let's say staff data. That's how you rename a file. You just rename it. You just change whatever name is here, and then you type whatever you want there. And then the save as type is an Excel workbook, and the extension is .xlsx. You click on save, and then it's done. All right. So we want to obviously import this data into this workbook book 2 right here. So what we can do is let's go here and then let's name this sheet staff data. All right, so what we can do is we could have copied it here, but we might not want it that way. All right, it might be a lot of data and a whole lot of complications, a lot of formulas, and we don't want to mess that up. We can just go to get data from file, include workbook, sorry, from workbook. So we are importing from another workbook. All right, so okay, so it opens for us documents. We select, this is what I saved, then click on import. All right, if you click on import, Excel is gonna open a dialog box for you. All right, a dialog box for you, and this dialog box is gonna show you what you want to import and what do you want to import. So we can select the sheet. There's the folder. We can select the sheet. There's the workbook, staff data workbook. It's in a form of a folder here, and then the sheet will be listed here. So we can click on the sheet. Then we have our data here. So we can either edit it before we load the data in, or we can just load the data in. All right, so let's wait. Now the data is loaded. All right, so you can see our data is nicely loaded. Excel did all the work for us. It even added a table which we will add later on. All right, so that's how that works. Very, very awesome functionality. All right, so that's it. We have used sort and filter. We have used all those stuffs. All right, we can also remove duplicates, okay, in Excel. So let's say we have two Sarahs here. Let's go back to our fees data. All right, we have two Sarahs here. Let me delete this quickly. We have two Sarahs here, and then we just want to remove some duplicate data from whatever that we are doing. We can simply select this. Let's check for remove duplicates. Found data. Okay, let's just copy also that we don't mess up our data. All right, so let's click on remove duplicates. Okay, so where do we want to look for these duplicates? All right, which column do you want to look for these duplicates? We want to look for duplicates of Sarah. All right, so let's say Sarah was a duplicate, or let's duplicate Sarah's index number, this one to 101, so that we know that it's a duplicate data. So we want to remove index number 101, the duplicated version of index number 101. So we can just click on remove duplicates, and then we, all right, so columns, let's uncheck all and leave only index number out. All right, now you can see that one duplicate value was found and removed. 4 unique ones remain. So you can see that Sarah 101, the other Sarah 101 has been removed. This is a very, very handy, very handy very, very handy feature which can save you a lot of work. It can remove duplicate data. How cool is that? If you had thousands or hundreds of data and then some are duplicate, let's say you send a Google form to people to fill, you receive it back, and you receive a lot of duplicate data, you can simply use this functionality to remove all the duplicates out. It's as simple as that. Data validation, we are not going to touch yet, but we're going to get there very soon. All right, so we can also calculate what if analysis. I might include that in the part 3 or part 2 of this video of this video later on. Alright, so I think we are done here. We can also see the review. We are not going to use this much. We can simply protect our workbook or worksheet if we don't want other people to have access to it. Alright, so let's try to protect it and see. So we can simply protect only this sheet. Alright, and then we can protect the whole book. It's very important for you to understand the meaning of sheet, worksheet, and workbook. A worksheet, these are worksheets. All right, and when you put them together, it becomes a workbook. It's just like a normal book. This is the whole book. The whole book is here, and then these are the individual sheets. Right, so we can simply protect a sheet or we can protect a workbook. If we protect a workbook, it will ask for a password when we are logging in, or when we set a password for it, it will ask for it when we are logging in. But I obviously don't want to do that right now. We can protect the worksheet so that people can't make any changes to them. So we can simply say we don't want people to insert rows, insert new columns, delete. So we can check all these. We don't want people to delete columns, delete rows. Let's see. We don't want people to sort. We don't want people to edit stuffs. And then we can just click OK. All right. So what we can do is let's try to insert a row here and see. Okay, for some reason it's let's see, it's working. All right, no worries, we'll still come back to that later on when we get to part 2 of this video. You'll be building projects and then you'll be using these functionalities. All right, so we can simply do that. We can protect the workbook, which is when we are opening the workbook, it's asked for a password before we log in. All right, so this is the view section that I was talking about. And then when you come here, the first thing you see is normal view is already selected. What is a normal view? A normal view is the default Excel view. That is the view we are working with. All right, and the normal view gives you all the normal functionality, or just the normal view by Excel. That's the normal view. You have the freedom to work with anywhere you want. You can scroll, you can do anything that you want. What you can also have is a page break view. And what a page break view gives you is it breaks your page into certain sections so that you will know how it will look like when you print. You can, why do you need this? You need it so that you can do any adjustments needed before you print your work. It is also a very important feature. So let's say we have data here. We also have data here. We have data here as well. But we want to print only up to this point. All right, so let's try to print this data. Let me bring some here. I'm just messing this data up so that we can have what we want. All right, so let me try to print. I'm printing by coming to file and then click on the print just like I did the first time. You can see it's I have it. Let me give the headers gender. Let me copy and paste it here. Paste it here again. I don't want to type, do plenty typing, so I'm just doing copy and paste. All right. So student name 1. Okay. Name 2. Name 3. Let's make it something like this. Oh, come on! I changed this to 3. All right. Let's maintain this. This doesn't look good, but you know I have to. All right, so let's say we want to print this data. Immediately we do that, you can see the dotted lines again. And the dotted lines over here, the dotted lines, I told you it shows the section or the area you are going to print. So this is the area that is going to fit the sheets. All right, so let's say we want to include all these in our data, but we are getting only this section. How do we include this when we are printing? All right, that's where page breaks comes in. Okay, so let's go to print and see. You can see we have print up to only this section. All the rest of the sections are not there. All right, and then they have continued on the next page. Obviously, we don't want it like this. We want all these headers to be on the same sheet. All right, so what we can now do is we click on page break and you can see this dotted lines here. So we can now switch this line up to this point. All right, and all these will be on one sheet. So we go to print, and then we can have all of them. So if we had hundreds of data, they will all be lined up here. And then we have fit all the data into one sheet. That's how it works. All right, so page layout is also basically for checking the layout of our page while still having the normal look. All right, so we can simply say the gender, we want to include the R, we want the R to come, so we can simply drag this a little. We can bring this here. All right, it's not gonna work like that. So if we have an actual data, we can simply mess stuff up like that. All right, so we can also do this. We can drag, if the space here is too big for us, we can simply come here and then we can simply drag it here. All right, we can do same for here, and then it works. All right, we can also do same for here. If the header is too big, we can push it here. Then we can also push the footer downwards. All right, so after doing all this, if we are printing, you will see that it has all reflected. This has pushed up, this has pushed to the left, and that's how that also works. All right, so at the view tab, we can also disable the grid lines like we did before. So you can just disable it or enable it here. Okay, you can also disable the header, you can disable the formula bar. Just if you have your space is too small and you want to disable these tabs, you can do that. All right, you also have help here. I've already told you what those does. All right, so we are done with tabs. I know by now you must be familiar with every single button, every single module or functionality in Excel inside any of the Excel buttons, except the advanced one we haven't touched. You should be able to basically use these to do any or work on any kind of data you want to. All right. So let's see the next section. The next section is text decoration and then formatting. We've already talked about this, rows and columns. We've already touched that. I'm still gonna do a few touchings, but we've done most of the stuffs already. Okay, we've covered most of the stuffs already. Then we will do a splitting name exercise. All right, so let's see. Okay, so let's see this. Okay, let me check once again. All right, text decoration and formatting. All right, so formatting, text decoration and stuff. Simply what we are going to do is how to beautify our work, something to just make it look a little cool and nice. All right, so register students, we can fill it with blue. We can change this to white. All right, it looks nice. We can change this to a different shade of blue. Something like this, too deep, something like this. Then let's see if white will work. No. Then let's use black. All right, black works fine. Then we can change this to the smallest shade of blue, and I think it will look very nice. All right, so we can simply drag this here. Then we have a very nice data. All right, so you can see the lines are not showing as we did that, so we can simply copy it, then come to this border that I talked about. You can simply click it. I told you it's very handy. You click on all borders, you can see you have very nice borders there. So if we are to copy this, okay, and then I don't know if this will work. Yeah, it works. So if you have to copy this and then paste it everywhere, you can see that we have very nice looking data. And if we are printing this, obviously it will be, and it's a black and white printer, it's not gonna look good. So you don't have to make your data look like this. But if you want to format your data to look like this, then you can do that. So let's maintain this to white. This we can leave it like that. Then let's reduce the shade of this blue. Something like this should be fine. All right, so it looks cool now. Okay, you can see we have a decent data to work with. So this is how it's all good. So you can still add your filter. You can still add your filter and then do the filtering. You can filter from A to, you can filter by index number, you can filter by name, you can filter by name, you can filter by gender. All right, obviously we don't have many variables, so we're not gonna have a lot of options, but you can basically do all this, and then you can still find data, you can replace data and stuffs. So that's how it works. You can delete duplicate values, just like I taught you. If you remember, you can just copy it. You can just copy it, go to data, and then click on remove duplicates. All right, so we are going to remove the duplicate based on the names. So let's just uncheck these two, click on this, and then all the duplicates will be removed. All right, so that's how it works. So let me undo it so that I have a lot of data to work with. Okay, so that's it for the formatting stuff. In Excel, you don't need a lot of formatting. It's not like Word. Most of your data, you just do some simple formatting and it's fine. You can move ahead with it. All right, so rows and columns I've already talked about. Then let's see how we can split names into two. Okay, we also talk about the file button. We've already learned about worksheets, and then we will get into the cool Excel features. All right, then we get into symbols and special characters. Then we enter into the real fun, which is Excel formulas. All right, so let's get into our splitting names exercise. So let's say, assuming we have Jane Doe here, we have Sarah Newman, we have Schofield Obey. All right, and then okay, we want to split these names. Okay, we have set student name, which is a full name, but we want to have first name and then last name. Okay, so let's take last name to be Doe and then first name to be Jane. So the first ones are the first names, the second ones are the last name. So there is Schofield Obin. Schofield is the first name, Obin is the last name. So how can we do that? So what we can do is, first let's insert a new row here by just clicking on insert, a new column by just clicking on insert in front of that. All right, and then let's go to data. All right, okay, so when we get to data, we make sure we leave our cursor here, then we click on text to columns. Okay, so let's click on text to columns. All right, one way we can also do it, let's select the data that we want to do that. Let's just select the data. That will be a little clearer. If we select the data, we go to text to columns. All right, and then it asks us the delimited. Are we gonna use a delimited or are we gonna use a fixed rate? Delimited is just to tell you that are you gonna use certain characters to identify the difference between the two names, characters like a space or a comma or something like that. So let's first try with a space, later we'll do with comma. All right, so let's make sure it's on delimited. You click on next. All right, then over here we uncheck this and then we check space. Immediately we check space, you can look at the preview here. Immediately we check space, you can see that the name has been separated already. You can click next, and then after clicking next, we can click finish, and then no, we have to all right, let's see, text to columns, delimited, space, finish, let's see. All right, so we click on yes, and that's fine. It replaces the first name replaces the previous names, and then the surname will also be here. Obviously, if we don't want it to be like this, we could have added one more row and then we take the first name there and then the surname there. But so we can simply name this. This was first name and this is surname. All right, so that's how you can separate names into first and then surnames. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult. You can use it. So just like I said previously, what if it's separated by commas, by a comma? All right, so let's use comma. Sometimes you have names separated by a comma. So simply we do the same thing. We go to data. Let's just copy to make sure it doesn't apply to all of them. We go to data. We go to text to columns, delimited. We click next. And then instead of space works because there is space. But instead of space, let's use a comma. All right. If you use a comma, we can see that it's there. Okay. So we can have it like this. And then if we don't want to replace this data, all right, if we don't want to replace this data, we can simply change the destination right here. Okay, so what destination do we want to paste it? Right now it's set to A3, all right. The dollar here, it's just a referencing style. Just let's forget it for now. We'll get to absolute and then relative. All right, so we don't need that now. So A3, we can now set it to B3. Okay, we obviously have data in cell C3, so we're gonna have a problem. So B3, then let's click on finish. There is data there, so let me move this one step so that we can have our first name here and then our surname here. All right, so let's copy this. Once again, text to columns, delimited, next. We are separating by a comma. We click on next. Then we change this to B3 so that it can paste. The destination will be here. So we can change it to B3. We don't want to replace it. And then we can click on finish. Then let's click yeah. All right. So now we have Jane here. We have Doe here. We have Sarah here, Newman here. So this is obviously how you can separate names. So we are done with that little exercise. I hope it wasn't difficult. If there is any problem, please feel free to put it in the comment section and I'll be glad to help you in any way that I can. All right, so please put it in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, please do so and then click the like button to go a long way to help me continue do videos like this. All right, so we are done splitting the names. The next thing is we'll be looking at the file button. We already learned how to save our work, and then I've already introduced you to a worksheet, and you know what a worksheet is. Okay, so with the key Excel features, find and replace, we have already used. We will be using autofill very soon. Sort and filter, we have used. Page break, we've been there. Previews, we've been there. Borders, we've used. So what we have left is a spell checker and then spell checker and then autofill. All right, we've used the special symbols and characters as well. So let's get to all right, the spell checker and then the autofill. All right, so let's start with the spell checker. All right, let's start with the spell checker. So what does a spell checker do? A spell checker simply checks for mistakes, and then let's say you make grammatical errors in your Excel work. A spell checker will simply do a spell check for you. So let's say we made a mistake and in any part of our workbook, and then we would like to correct that mistake, or we didn't see it and we would like Excel to correct that mistake for us. So let's see, instead of male, we added another E. Let's see if Excel can correct that, and then let's make female too. Let's make it A. Okay, let's see these two. Let's just copy it. What you do is you go to review, then you go to spelling. All right, you click on spelling, and then Excel will give you suggestions on how to make those corrections. So you check for male, and then you can see this is incorrect. Excel has given you the right spelling for male, so you can just click on change, and then the change will be made, and immediately it will switch to the next one, which is female. All right, so you can now change from this, which is incorrect here, then you can change to this, which is correct. All right, so spell check complete, you are ready to go. All right, so we are done with spell check. The next thing after spell check was autofill. All right, so autofill and then the file button. Okay, so with autofill simply means automatically filling up your cells. Instead of typing all your data by yourself, Excel has some rules predefined already that can help you to automatically fill up these cells. So let's say here we have female, 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 female. What if we were to type this data? Will we be able to type this female? Let's say we have one female here and we are typing the data manually. All right, so what can we do? We can simply copy it and then keep pasting it one after the other, or we can also select all the cells and then paste it there. All right, but this is even too difficult for us. Excel makes it so easy for us. If immediately we have female here, we can simply put it here. You can see that with the green shadows, there is this dot here. When you bring your cursor there, it will change to a plus, a dark plus button. Then you just double click on it and then it will autofill for you. Automatically, Excel will know that you want to fill all this space with the female. All right, so what Excel does is it determines some pattern and then it uses it. So obviously, if you select only female, it will think you want to fill the whole place with female. What if you select male and then female and then you do autofill? What happens then? Let's see. When you do it, it changes it to male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female. So that's how it works. All right, so let's say you want to do some counting. Let's insert a column here and then let's set that column as serial number. All right, and this serial number will be 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the end of whatever data that we have. So when we enter 1 and then we come and do autofill, Excel will insert 1 everywhere because it picked a pattern as only 1. But when we have 2 data selected, 1, 2, Excel can know that, oh, 1, the next one is 2. So obviously I have to add 1 to the previous data to get the next data. It applies just that simple rule, and then you can simply have your data from 1 to 33. It's very simple to use and very handy. All right, so what if you copy from 1 to 3 and then you autofill? What happens? All right, let's see. It gives you the same thing because it's still an addition of 1. So let's say, what if you have 1 then 3 here? Then what happens? It's no more addition of 1, it's addition of 2. So Excel will add 2 to it and then it will simply give you the data as you want it. So Excel simply picks a pattern of data that you are entering and then it takes it from there and makes your life so easy. So obviously we don't need it like this. We need it 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can just copy it like this, then double click, and then we have 33 sets of data or records. All right, so one thing worth noting is a row is also known as a record. A record because when we select this, we can have a whole record of Jane Doe. All right, so we have Jane Doe's first name, we have a last name, we have an index number, a gender, we can have a telephone number. It's one record. All right, so a row is also known as a record. So you should take note of that. All right, then the file button. This file button here gives you some functionalities. You can create a new workbook by clicking on this new and then coming here. That's how you click on a new workbook. You can also open an existing workbook by clicking this open. Then you have the chance to browse through. If you already have some recent ones, they will be listed here. Else you click on browse, then you go to your computer. If it's on your desktop, you go to your desktop. If it's on your documents, you go to your documents. You just find the location and then you upload it. All right, and then you also have the option to save here. When you click here, then you can check for a place and then you save your work. Sorry, you save your work. All right, the save as is also very handy if you want to save a copy of your work, so for backup purposes or something. You just click on save as then you choose a new location for your work. So let's do this as student data copy or something. You can just click on enter, and then we have a copy of the data. So we already have this data saved. We didn't save this data before, so let's now save a copy of this data. All right, so documents, let's rename this to student data. I'm not sure it will work because the file is opened. Okay, it's not gonna work because the file is opened, but we can save this as student data copy 2, so that now we are working with student data copy 2 and not student data copy. So when we come back here, when we come back to documents, we can have student data copy, and now we have student data copy 2. So take note that we are working with student data copy 2, not student data copy, because student data copy is now our backup. So you can create a folder and have those backups inside. That is also very important. Okay, so that's it with the file button. It gives us those functionalities, and it also has some additional functionalities as well. When you come there, where is my mouse? All right, so I found my mouse now. Okay. All right, so when you click on the file, it has additional functionalities. You can save a copy of your work. You can also print your work from here, and then you can also share your work through your email to other people. So you can send it as PDF. You have all these stuffs. All right, so you can also export your work. Okay, then this options button is also very important, but it's we are not gonna need it now. All right, so we'll be diving into next we will be diving into formulas. All right, so let's dive into Excel formulas. So what is an Excel formula? Just like I told you before, an Excel formula is something that just makes your life easier and faster. Okay, it's Excel formulas or functions give you a lot of hands-on, pre-built automated stuffs, all right, that you can use to speed or improve the accuracy of whatever that you are doing. So the formulas are simply just like any other formula. What any other formula is, it picks up whatever data or whatever criteria you have given it, and then it gives you an output or something like that. All right. So an Excel formula is what we will use for doing all our calculations, and then it's what we use for certain criteria for our data, and then just simply messing with our data in a very nice way. So let's start with Excel formulas. So to start with formulas, the most important thing you need to know is the formula bar. All right, this on top here is the formula bar. It is one of the most important part of using formulas. And then just remember, whenever you want to use a formula, you enter the equal sign or the equal symbol. All right, so you enter the equal symbol, then you can start typing your formula. If you type without the equal symbol, it will pick it as a text and not a formula. Immediately you enter the equal sign, whatever you enter is a formula. All right, after the equal sign is a formula. If you obviously don't enter anything after the equal sign, it is just an equal sign. You have to enter something after the equal sign before it becomes a formula. So in order to enter a formula, you have two choices. You can start entering with a blinking this blinking line, or you can simply come to the formula bar and then start entering it there so that you can have a wider look at your formula. All right, so let's start working with formulas. One thing I must also tell you, if immediately you are entering a formula, you don't need to click any part of the cells if you don't want to. If you click it, you are simply gonna get some bunch of errors in your formulas. You know, you should know where you want to click and stuff, because whatever you click is important when you are entering formulas. You just can't click anywhere. You have to click somewhere only when you have to. All right, so what's the first formula we are going to do? The first formula we are going to add is, we are going to have is a formula to add numbers. All right, the sum formula. So let's say we have these numbers. We have let's check fees. Yeah, we have fees, and then we want to put all these fees together and then get the sum. Just like I came to formulas, use the auto sum to do it. What we can do is we can do it manually by ourselves, so that we can have much control of where the formula can go and where it cannot go. So what we do is, first we take note of Excel ranges. When you copy something from here to here, it's called a range. Okay, so this range is from E3 to E13. That is called a range. If you copy this, it is a cell, but if it is more than one, then it becomes a range. All right, so this is a range between E2 and then F2, a range between E2 and then J2. All right, so that is range. When I bring it here, and immediately I copy more than one, it becomes a range. So let's see how handy that can be. So we can click on this cell, and then wherever you need the value, you are using the formula to calculate for, that is where you put the active cell. All right, so we select here as the active cell because we need a total here. So let's type total here, and then we start by clicking on the equal, and then the formula for calculating the total for a value is the sum formula. All right, so we use the sum function or formula. So we can simply type sum, S-U-M, and whilst you are typing, you can see Excel suggesting to you that these are the formulas available for it. All right, so we can simply, after typing it, then you press shift and then 9. On my keyboard is shift and then 9 for the equal sign. Sorry, for the brackets. All right, so wherever your bracket is located on your keyboard, you find it and then you press it. You make sure you have the bracket there. Immediately you get the bracket, you have this number 1, comma, number 2. What Excel is trying to tell you is this function here takes in some parameters. All right, and then these parameters are what Excel is going to use as an input for your calculations. So how do we get these parameters? These parameters are already here because these are obviously the data we want to feed into Excel in order to get our sum value. So it says number 1, so which is our number 1. This is our first number, number 1, cell D3. We can type cell D3, but that is a lot of work. And immediately you type it, you can see that it has been highlighted. So we can simply select it. All right, so we have cell D3. Then we can click on the plus button, then we go to the next number, then we can click it, then we click the add button, we go to the next one, then we click the add button, we go to the next one. Then you can see they all have different colors so that you can distinctly know which cell refers to which of the ones in your formula. So we can now close the bracket and then click enter. Now we have our totals. All right, so this is one of the ways we can calculate for the totals. Another way we can also do that is we can automatically set the range, just like I told you. So we can say equal sum, then we set the range. So how do we set the range? We can just type in the range by ourselves, D2, which is this, no, D3, which is starting from here to this point. So then we do the, we bring this sign here, and then we do D6. All right, then we can close it, press enter, and then we can still have our totals. It's still the same thing. What we can also do is we can just say equal sum, bracket open, then we can just select the range and then close it, and then we hit enter. So whichever makes you comfortable, you can just do it. I always just say equal sum, bracket open, then just copy this or highlight the range, then close the bracket, and then that's it. All right. So if you would like to select, or if you like to add certain parts of the data and not all of them, you can just say equal sum. Then you select this, then you use the add button, then you select this, then you close it. Then it can add only this and this, 100 and 600 to make 700. All right. So if you want to select only parts of your data for the addition, you can also do that. All right. So what else can you do? You can even add data in Excel without using the sum function. All right. You can just say equal to without using any sum function. Then you click this plus this plus this plus this. All right, you click enter and then you get your total. You don't even need to use the sum function. It's as easy as that. You just say equal to and then you add them. So what if you want to subtract something? All right, let's say you have the total, you want to subtract tax, which is 500, and then get your net total. All right, so what you can do is you can just say equal sign, then you click this, then you click the minus, you press the minus, then you select the tax, then you press enter. Now you have your net total. So that's how the sum and then the minus, that's how the sum function works, and that is how you can deduct stuffs. What if you want to know the average of all these? Okay, so what you can now do is you can, all this will give you this, which is the total, so we can have the average using this. So we can just say average. Okay, so how do we find the average? You can simply say equal average average. All right, so if you want to automatically use this after it has been highlighted, or when you type AVE, you can simply select average and then you click the tab. After clicking the tab, it will automatically give you the brackets. Then you can show where you want to use the average. So we want to find the average for all these. All right. So that is how we use the function to find an average. You can also find the average manually by just dividing this by 4. All right. These are 4, and this is the total. So if we divide this by 4, we should get the average. So we can simply do equal, then we select this, then we do divided by 4, then we have our average. All right, so it's still the same thing. It's as simple as that. It's not that much difficult. You can simply press equal, max, and then bracket open, then you copy all these, and then you get the maximum value, which is 600. If I change this 20, look at how Excel is dynamically going to change all these totals for me. If I change this 20 to 100, all right, you can see that everything just changed. Our total will change. Tax will not change, obviously, because we entered it ourselves, but our net total will change. What if we change the tax from 500 to 400? You can see that our net total is now 800. All right, so that's how Excel works. So that is the sum function. We've covered the sum function, the max function, the min function. Thank you very much, viewers, for making it to this part of the tutorial. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift cell referencing to the next part of the tutorial, as it will be more related to the project that we are going to build. The next project is going to, the next tutorial, is going to be more exciting, because there are going to be 2 projects which will take you through most of the basic stuffs, and at the end of the day you will come out with something awesome. All right, so let me demonstrate to you what we will be doing in the next segment of this tutorial. So what we'll be learning is Excel formulas and functions. All right, but basically you'll be covering all these topics. You'll be covering cell referencing, charts, tables, functions, and then we get into the project. So let's see, we have range. We are going to cover all these Excel formulas in detail. We have the cell referencing and relative and absolute charts, tables, and then these are the two projects that we are going to build. We are going to build some kind of a store project where we can save our items, and then we are going to build a comprehensive grading system, which is very nice. All right, so let's see. This is the store project. We are simply gonna have a store with some items and then some categories, and as you can see, we have applied some text, and then it has two text components, and we have the cost, price, profit, and all the calculations are done beautifully. And at the end of the day, all the formulas too are hidden, no one can see them, and a person will require a password in order to have access to them. All right, so certain data validations too are applied, and then at the end of the day, this beautiful chart here is generated, all right, based on the items and their related prices, profits, and then the various values in there. All right, and then we also have the grading system, which I simply call Nico School Projects. It's also a mini project which is going to take you through how to do a lot of calculations. You're going to use a lot of functions, and you learn data validation, you learn cell referencing, and you learn how to reference your data properly. All right, you don't just reference it anyhow you want it. You reference it in a way that your project will be scalable, so that someday when you want to scale up your project or whatever kind of data you are incorporating into the project, is if it's very large, you can incorporate that. And trust me, I will take you right from the basis. We will build everything from the ground up. It's gonna be beautiful and it's gonna be fun. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button.